concept. You have a great concept. You guys are doing it, man. And it's an honor for me to just be, a small rock, man, in your mountain. I'm going to pop a top in your honor.
Mr. Doc Walker blessed us with his presence and knowledge.
We want to welcome in our next special guest, Haley Skarupa. She's a three-time world champion in women's ice hockey and most recently won Olympic gold with Team USA.
The Caps Stadium Series was definitely my favorite, obviously. I'm a huge Caps fan, I always have been, and to be there at that game with my teammates and for us to bring, our gold medals to there and share it with everyone in this area was really, really special for me, and just the support and it's been tremendous from everyone in this area, and you can feel that there at that game.
Welcome to Sports on the Hill podcast. Hashtag DC Sports Without the Politics with Carol and Robbie on True Radio Network.
And welcome to episode 374 of Sports on the Hill podcast. I realized that I didn't number this correctly, so let me fix that. Let's see if that sticks. But yes, we are 374 right now, and 74, an interesting number in the Caps world right now. It's ups and downs from a number 74 we've been facing. We've got an interesting show tonight. We are doing it obviously on a Tuesday, and it's because the Caps played Game 4 yesterday, and I didn't want to compete with that. We do have a live game. Cleveland is down 4 to Indiana in the NBA playoffs. It's 85-81 right now, with about 10 and a half minutes left in the fourth quarter. It's tied 1-1 in the Jets versus Dallas game, and we'll be monitoring that as well. And wow, that's awesome. Casey just stopped by. He says, hey, everyone, just want to stop by and offer some love and support before I head to bed. Thank you all the best. Eddie Brown has been here too. He's going to lurk and listen for a while. We were going to have Ryan on, but he's a little bit busy tonight, so we may have Ryan on next week to recap how this series ends up. But I really appreciate everybody for tuning in. And we've got a lot of stuff to break down tonight. We're going to break down the unfortunate couple of games for the Caps, when I thought that I would just do it with the Power Play Point podcast team. So we got Gil and Anna breaking it down. Gil, let people know what's happening on the latest episode of the Power Play Point podcast. It'll be a similar structure, I think, to tonight, but let people know what happened this week.
Yeah, was not a very good week for our Caps. So quite the I don't want to say doom and gloom, but I think the title card will say it all. If you go do it and download it, we're bummed, and we make zero effort to hide it, hide our displeasure. And I made a call to. I usually censor out the profanity that is spewed out at times. I made a decision not to do that. So if you have some kiddies whose ears might be close by, may want to use a little discretion in listening to the podcast. But basically, we go over the last few games of the series, which of course haven't gone well. Offer some hope, of course, but within reason. And yeah, that's pretty much how it goes.
Yeah, I kind of wrote this out a little bit earlier to Gil. I did want to get this statement out there. But while I get that prepared, I do want to get Anna's thoughts. We haven't had you on in a couple of weeks. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm good. We'll just stick with that. And now I'm realizing that by watching my shirt go in and out, so I may step out for a second, put something else on, because it's kind of driving me a little bit crazy. I'm like headless, I'm not, I'm here, I'm not. That's my fault for not paying attention. But yeah, still I was cranky. Gil knows. He heard it yesterday. Everybody got an earful. I think I'm just I'm so frustrated. But I will say I had a little, I don't know, a moment of hope today. So um, I'm going to go with it. I've got a ton of things that are not positive to say, but I still feel like I'm just ready for man to like have this next week and be like, holy shit, here we go. Like this is awesome. That's what I really want. So that's what I'm hoping for.
So, Titan Rising KM, also known as Casey, said Capson 7, all we got right now, ha ha ha. And because I said I love the optimism, and he said the Headless Mermaid, we're playing like we don't want it, and it's heartbreaking. I agree.
100%.
I
And
don't
I'm
know
gonna I'm gonna take this headless mermaid and I will be back in 30 seconds.
All right, I will read my statement while you go do that. And yeah, no, it is definitely heartbreaking. And I don't necessarily know. I can't believe that they actually don't care. I know that Carolina is making them look that way. You got to give some credit to Carolina as well. They're playing a heck of a series. They're being a little bit outcoached in some ways, I think, and their speed is killing the Capitals, and their goaltending is killing the Capitals. The Capitals, in the last two games, we'll talk about it, tried to generate offense and did a pretty good job in the first period and had nothing to show for it. And unfortunately, it deflated them, and I know that you kind of have to push through that in the playoffs a little bit, but it's tough when you're trying to do all the right things and it doesn't work out, and then they do one thing and it goes their direction, and then it's hard not to have that negative self-talk. And so we'll get into that. One thing I'll say my statement at the top until we can get it out of the way, and then we can get into each of the games. So I just want to say that hockey is just a game. If the cup is the only goal, and it's not just to enjoy hockey for bonus, and it's not just to enjoy hockey, if the cup is the only goal, then we can't just enjoy hockey in the bonus games after a season. 31 teams fail every year in that situation if the cup is the only goal. And as a fan, I think it's a hard way to look at it. I hear a lot of Caps fans on social media just doom and gloom and just shitting on the players and the coaches and all these things. And, it's already over. And what's the point? You may as well, why even play the last game? And, all this sort of stuff. And I'm personally thankful that we got 11 bonus games. I'm hoping for a 12th bonus game, and we've played 10 so far, 5 in the first round. Sorry, how many was the first round? Sorry, it's 5 in the first round, and then this will be game 5. So I guess it'll be 10 bonus games. I'm hoping for the 11th. And so I obviously want us to win, and I was obviously bummed about how last night went. But regardless, we get one more home game, and we should cheer our team on. And maybe, if we're lucky enough, we'll get one more road game too. And if you win that, then who knows what happens in a game 7. We've seen plenty of teams collapse from a 3-1 lead. We've been on the other side of that plenty of times. So, in all the times in 2018, we had to come from behind. So it's happened before for the Capitals. So people want to throw the team and players under the bus. We got one cup, and again, that can't be the only goal and what makes it a successful season. I think that that's not the correct benchmark. I think the other team is outworking us. It doesn't mean that we're bad. It just means that we're not playing as well as they are. And I saw great moments yesterday, moments of great effort that were hidden in pockets along, times where we were just outworked. And I know that when it was 3-2, we had an opportunity. A stick, gets stuck. We have some bad luck, and we'll go down 4-2 instead of tying the game 3-3, and that hurt and deflated us. But again, who knows what's going to happen in this game 5, and we just got to keep believing. And we know that Carberry's not going to go down without a fight, and the players, I'm sure, won't either. And so Eddie Brown thinks the Canes in 6. I kind of agree. I kind of think the Caps will show up and win Game 5 and go back to Carolina and
Yeah.
probably lose in Carolina, or do the most Capitals thing ever, which is force a Game 7, get all the way back, and then lose at home, which would be a very typical situation for them. Um,
Well, it's an emotional game. It's so different than say football, where you just have like 15, hopefully 16 games. This is a lot. This is a big chunk of our year that we dedicate to this team. And we kind of feel like we are little silent coaches at times, at things that we want to change and things that frustrate us. And I think even yesterday with how Sunday, how it went with Gil and I, which is like, that's just the passion and that we love for the team, and the frustration of things that we want to see change, only because we know that we've seen it all year and we need to want it, you want it to continue. And I also think that, you have to admire this team for the fact that we started off like, oh my God, what are we to do without TJ Oshie? Oh my God, what are we to do without Nick Backstrom? It was like, what are we going to do? And everyone kind of panicked, and we managed to get through that scare, and then Ovechkin's injury, and so it's like they have this ability to get through the storm and come out ahead. I think some of us just really, really wanted to see them take the Hurricanes. God, just take them out.
Right. So Titan Rising said, we've had such an amazing season, many highs. It just feels awful after all that. The cup can't be the only goal. I agree, but what gets me is that Ovi earned more than one, and I feel is that he wanted Ovi to earn more than one, and I feel like this was it for him, unfortunately. And I'll die on the hill of optimism, rocking the red. And I agree. But I've heard multiple people say this is their best chance. I actually think next season was the best chance. I'm on record earlier in this season saying that I want us to take steps forward, but next season was going to be, you got Leonard, who will have a season under his belt and all this experience. You've got other players that might come up. We might fix our third line center situation, because Eller, as much as I love him, isn't the answer at that spot. So I actually think that there's an opportunity. Maybe we're not the number 1 seed next year, but I think that we maybe have a better opportunity to win it all next year. So and I'm not saying this year is over by any means, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think that if we don't win it this year, that this is it, right? I think
Right.
it's gonna potentially get one more crack at it beyond this. Eddie Brown said, I was at Game 7 when the Canes won the cup, and I agree, it's a very emotional game. Titan also says, this is a game where the fans and the players truly care about each other. I've never saw a culture like hockey has. I can personally attest to this because of you all specifically. We get attached to these players and want it for them so badly.
Yeah.
And like my favorite quote says, the easiest way to lose something is to want it too badly. And I agree. I think that at times, I think it's a good statement that the Caps have like almost overwon it too much.
Yeah.
They get so frustrated and like are gripping the stick so tightly, and they're just overplaying their passes, and they're just not doing the tape to tape. It doesn't. I heard you guys talk about it on your show about the fun, right?
Yes.
I don't see the fun, and
I haven't seen the fun in this series. I saw it in Montreal. I have not seen it in this, and I don't know if it's because they kind of already let the fan base get in their heads, or like the record, or their Brindamore, or whatever it is. But man, there is like 100%, there is a difference in the Capitals when they go out and they just, and I know I say have fun, and I know Gil was, he agreed and kind of corrected me on that. And I totally get it, but I always see it like as have fun in the sense of going back to the basics and playing how, just stop overthinking, and like I said, my God, how many times were some of us on the coach couch situation saying, just shoot that fucking puck, like let's not make it pretty. Let's not make it, song and dance and all this ridiculous stuff. Just shoot it, and getting frustrated. And when that happens and the overpasses and the sloppy plays and the penalties, it all kind of just, it's just a domino.
Yeah, no, I very much see that, and it's frustrating because I always think that we should take a page out of Carolina's book. I know that Carolina, we talked about it last week, they put up the highest amount of shot volumes, and we had the accuracy, but unfortunately our secondary scoring, and this happens a lot for the Capitals in the playoffs, has dried up a little bit, and to not take anything away from their goaltender, I think he's phenomenal, but we got to maybe take a page out of Carolina's book and just pepper more shots and try to hope for a rebound and a deflection and a goal or something.
Right.
I just think that we're waiting. There's people in front of them, and I understand you don't want to shoot it and then have it go off somebody and they go the other way. They got a goal that way, in this last game. But at least they're going down with a fight, right? So I'm almost more okay with the goal going back the other way because they were pushing, and that's what we're looking for. So. Titan is going to sleep. I hope that you have a good night, and thank you for coming.
Good night.
Gil, what are some of your quick takeaways?
Well, this will be explored more, but I think the elephant in the room has to be at least mentioned. We're rapidly approaching a day of reckoning where the core that got them to the 2018, the top of the mountain in 2018, will be no more. Will cease to exist. And that day is coming a lot quicker than everybody realizes. And I think that may be part of why we all want it so badly. Just one last push, one last chance at it. It seemed like this year was the best year. There are going to be some question marks next year. I don't think right now is the time to try and address that. There'll be plenty of time to figure that out. But I guess I think really what everybody gotten everybody so bummed is that expectations were set very high after this great season that nobody thought they would have. And then reality hit them in the face, and that, well, yeah, there are some things that need to be worked on to make this team a lot more playoff worthy in some respects.
Yeah, I think a theme that is kind of happening is that false hope, right? We got a lot of false hope, because we believed in what we were seeing. The other thing that's a big thing is we haven't really talked about it. We talked about it last week. Losing one of our best defensive players really hurts us. It puts a lot more on the shoulder of a John Carlson who's aging, and a lot more on all the other players. And just in a situation where Carolina and Washington were almost dead even statistically, right, coming into it, losing that one player, and I hate to put it on an injury and stuff like that, could be the difference in such a close series.
Well, I think to build on that point, I think, one, I didn't think anyone realized how much of an impact. We knew it would be impactful, but not to this degree. But I think this series would be a heck of a lot closer had it not been for that injury. Had we not had to rely, well, we're not even relying on him all that much. He's only getting 5-6 minutes a night on a guy who spent most of the year in the press box. Had they not had to do that, I think the series would be really a lot closer than it actually is. But so, yeah, job security, though, I guess for him, Faravari can take comfort in the fact that, oh, you know what? They do need me. Some fans seem to think that with the Chikrin signing, since they're both, I think they're both left-handed, um, that kind of spelled the end for Martin Fehervari's career in Washington. Well, not so.
No.
Yeah, I think he's phenomenal, and I think you're starting to see. But I think what I'm trying to say is not only that, but like you have to spread those minutes across all those other players, which adds wear and tear to those bodies, and you're exposing them more. Like John Carlson's numbers, as you were talking about on your show, of how many minutes he's playing. It's just too many minutes for a
Too many.
35-year-old. It's just it's not going to work out, and he's going to get exposed with certain matchups, and so.
Well, and it's too many when, I've always been a Carlson supporter. I mean, I have, and I know he's frustrated people in the past, and I 100% get that, but I feel like he has had a solid season. And when we get to this point and you really think, okay, you're a vet, we are going to count on you, you're going to be consistent. And all of a sudden we're seeing not John Carlson, just like he just looks exhausted, or injured or whatever it is. It's difficult to see. And then as fans, of course, it becomes frustrating because you expect him to be at this level, and he's either not capable of it right now, or who knows. But so it's incredibly frustrating on that end. Like you want to really just see them shine, throughout the entire season from game one until playoffs, and it's just not possible.
Yeah. But, I still think that having the home ice and being able to potentially choose what lines go out, and
Yeah.
I'm hoping that we maybe make some adjustments to the lineup, but we'll talk about that. Let's get into the games. We're going to go through it relatively quickly, but I do want
Excuse me.
to sort of document that. Let me just make sure that it is set up correctly. I think that it is. Yeah. We only have goals in 3 out of the 4 games, unfortunately, but we will.
Yay. So this will be like 30 seconds and
Right.
we're done.
Exactly. All right, let me switch to our hockey overlay. And we're going to start off with a Protus goal. And Gil, why don't you take it from there?
Okay, so the first goal of the series, Duhaime recovers and hands it off to Protus after a lucky bounce past Gostisbehere, and breaks in and gets the shot past Freddie, who maybe wasn't ready.
I thought it was a great goal. I'm so happy that Protus is back in the game, and I think he's a really important part of why we were so successful this year. And what are your thoughts? What are some of your thoughts, Anna?
Yeah, absolutely. Huge 21 fan. I have been nothing but happy to see 21 from the beginning, and really just kicking ass and being consistent, and he's such a big player, and really just using his size and his skill to the Caps' benefit, which is great. And then coming back after the injury, this is nothing shy of just a nice confidence booster going into the series.
Yeah, for sure. Fortunately, this is the only goal of the game for us.
Right.
So I don't have a lot more.
And on to game 2.
Right. So just quickly, like we played well through the first couple of periods relatively, but we were taking on a lot of shots, just way too many. And they were averaging 80 plus shots shot attempts against us over the first 3 games. This one I think cracked 90. 30 of them got through. They were able to finally get a goal in the third, and then in overtime, unfortunately, they got the game winner. And that's why I'm saying this series, one defensive player in addition could make all the difference, because this game was close. We'll talk about game 2, we won. Game 3 was a bit of a blowout. Game 4 was close, but so it could be 3-1 the other way if you take the 2 close games and they go our way, right? So it's definitely a little bit frustrating. But let's get into the second game. I'm really excited. Connor McMichael gets an appearance here. And Gil, why don't you take it away?
Okay, so this one, kind of a crazy one, a little bit more puck luck for our Caps. So Connor McMichael takes advantage of a lucky bounce, which we'll go into in a bit more depth as the video plays out. Yeah, so this is Ghost. This is Ghost's face.
My God, Gil.
And what happens here is, yes, this is the lucky bounce, and this is Ghostface Killer. Because this is the guy that shot it off of Ghostface and into open space so that Connor McMichael could do his thing here unassisted and score the goal to take the 1-0 lead.
I'm impressed. Yeah, it's got ghosts. It's got a good face. It's got some rapping in there. It's got a little bit of everything in this segment. So
don't encourage Robbie. Come on now. I'm
well,
kidding.
come on.
Kidding.
We gotta have some fun. Okay,
we do.
We gotta laugh.
We do.
Otherwise, we're just crying the whole episode. No one
yeah,
exactly.
Because if not, we could flip that and put it on a Caps jerseys and the Ghost and be like, oh shit.
That would be pretty funny. You could wear a haunted outfit with a picture of the puck going off the guy's face. We'll sell at least 5 of them. So,
Yeah, no doubt.
Quick little scoring update. Indiana is up 106-100. Cleveland's trying to make free throws and missing. They just missed the first one. 1:49 left in the fourth here. If Cleveland does not win this game, the series is over. Cleveland has dominated everyone all season long except for Indiana, who had their number in the regular season, and it looks like they may have their number in the postseason too. It's interesting.
Gee, that sounds familiar.
Right? It's matchups, right, Gil? Sometimes teams, just unfortunately match up well, or fortunately, depending on your perspective. In the Winnipeg-Dallas game, it is still 1-1, so we haven't seen road Hellebuck yet.
Hellebuck.
Yeah, so, but it's probably still coming. He's been atrocious on the road for people that do not know. And Dallas has been 4-1, I think it says, at home this postseason. So, anyway, yeah, I mean, we got lucky, a goal off of a face. And Anna, do you have any additional thoughts on this?
I don't. I'm happy for McMichael, and that's about all I can say.
Put it this way. I could have said, well, it was off a face-off.
Oh.
No.
Then you could have had a face-off graphic from the old movie.
I know.
But anyway. We got John Carlson scoring on the power play. The only power play penalty. The only goal that penalty kill has given up all postseason. Carolina had been perfect up until this point. They've but we were able to get a few off of them. One in this game and one in the most recent game. I have to say, Tim and I are great luck because every time we've watched a game together, we've scored Ovechkin specifically has scored a power play goal in game 1, 5, and now this one, or game 4. So.
I could use more of that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's his birthday, by the way. So happy early birthday, Tim, on Thursday. So I hope the Caps give him a birthday present of extending the season.
I hope so too.
So,
me too.
Yeah. We got John Carlson scoring here, though. Gil, how does he do it?
Okay, so Caps are moving the puck. Carlson starts to play at the point, over to Ovi on the right point, to Strome and to Wilson inside the circle, who finds the seam and gets it to Carlson, who, unfortunately, so he's got the shot here. So he's Captain America, but he's a bit of an aging Captain America here, and we got to live with that. We all got to live with getting old, but he's still got a decent shot here. He's able to put it away. But big credit to Tom Wilson for finding that seam. A rare breakdown in the penalty kill for the Hurricanes, as you mentioned.
But it's smart. So, and I was calling for this play actually as it was happening because I saw they switched Ovi to that side, and then because of that, they flooded that side. And I kept on screening the TV the other side is open. So, and sure enough, they heard me, and we were able to get that seam pass across. And then I thought that would be open on other subsequent power plays. But A, we never ran it this way again, and B, they seem to have figured out don't flood the zone, this one side
Yeah.
of the zone. So they both corrected it, and we didn't necessarily run this play this way again. Disappointing on both accounts from my point of view, but I'm happy that we were able to take advantage of it here. Anna, what are some of your thoughts?
No, I'm honestly, again, happy to see Carlson, you know, doing what we know he can, and shit, Wilson right there. It was great. And that's what I think they need to do going forward is these non-predictable power play setups. It's like, come on, like mix it up a little bit. Throw the Canes for a curveball. But good for him, and which is why I'm like, what the hell, Carlson? Like, I can get frustrated because this was you in this game, and then I'm not sure what happened over the next 48 hours to make things just go into a dumpster dive.
Right. Well, I think his offense is still there. It's just he gets caught flat-footed sometimes on defense.
Yeah.
And
Like, but like Gil and I talked about it on Sunday, it was like he was just like a step or so behind, or a second or so behind every pass, every, whatever it was, puck possession. It just seemed like he just wasn't all there. And the concern was that maybe he could have been injured, which we didn't see obviously in this game, and we didn't see anything major. So who knows what's going on there? Could be the aging Captain America.
right. Granlund just scored his second goal of the game and third of the playoffs to take a 2-1 lead for Dallas, unfortunately. And I'm trying to pull for the Jets in this one, but it's
Me
not
too.
looking good, especially it's one of those end of period goals, Gil. This was at 17:52.
Yep.
Are very deflating, especially in a second period, as it gets to it, and yeah, disappointing there. All right, Tom Wilson gets an empty net goal, and Gil, why don't you break this one down?
Okay, so Wilson and Protus do the heavy lifting here. Protus corners it and holds it long enough to find the open Wilson, who puts it away for the empty netter. And we've all seen this and this. And yeah, sorry, Canes fans, but yeah, he has no urge to surge. And you can keep your movie theater that you're blocking him from. So yeah, that's fine. Little playful banter here. Don't take it too seriously, Canes fans. Come on now, you're winning the friggin' series. All
Exactly.
right,
Yeah.
don't
So,
don't don't choke on your tobacco. All right, so
um, yeah. So I'm happy we got the goal. Unfortunately,
oh, I totally forgot it was a McNugget minute goal.
all right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just barely, but it was. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's unfortunately the last goal the Caps would score for a while. They
a
don't score
while.
any goals in the next game. It's unfortunately a bit of a 4-0 rout on us. I just want to go through how that scoring happened a little bit. Basically, Svechnikov scored 1, 2, 3, 4 into the second period, and then a power play goal again, a backbreaker at the end of the period, made it 2-0 at the end of the second period. So there's no goals in that first period. There actually have been no goals in the first period of any of the games, Gil, until game 4,
Yeah.
which I thought was an interesting statistic. But we had the power play going into the third period, so we thought that there might be some life. There was no life. And
There was nothing.
there was nothing. Eric
Yeah,
Robinson
I've seen
made
more life in a morgue.
right, exactly. Eric Robinson unfortunately puts the nail in the coffin at 3:14, and then a power play goal at the very end of the period makes it 4-0. And Gil, anything to add to that?
I wish I had something to add to it. That round number would be at least maybe a straight number or a crooked number, like they keep saying they ought to have. But yeah, there was just I you know I want to say that was the worst game, but unfortunately the worst was yet to come. But I think
You actually think Game 4 was worse than Game 3?
I don't. This
uh
this one was awful.
well this one was pretty bad, but game 4.
See, Game 4 had the
I
false
get
hope.
that. I get that they
So,
came back. They had that big rally and they came pretty close. But when you are given a 4-minute power play and you do not only nothing but less than nothing with it, I don't think they even got a shot on goal. I think they barely even got one attempt.
and then
I
on the
think
5-on-3 for us to score on it, but then have almost 2 minutes of another power play and do nothing with that momentum kills you. But we'll break it down. We'll get to that point. So we in this next game, unfortunately, they score first. Ghost gets his revenge for the puck in the face. At 10:24, scores the first period goal of the series, and then the second period, I thought that well, again, the first periods in both Game 3 and 4, I thought the Capitals actually outplayed the Hurricanes in a lot of ways. They just couldn't finish, and I think that really they started to doubt themselves, and they started to play on their heels, and they started to lose some of their
Overthink things.
yeah, and then the real nail in the coffin, that sort of that goal to start the second period, to sort of off on the wrong foot to make it 2-0. Then they're sort of chasing the game, as Gil was saying on his show, and I was so happy to see Jacob Chikrin score a goal 5:18 to the third, because you gave us belief. And I was joking with Tim, this is going to be the false hope that we're looking for. Yeah, we're going to believe and they're going to dash us. You watch. And sure enough, just a few minutes later, we were pinching in well. We were, forcing the issue. But sometimes when that happens, you leave yourself open to the counterattack, right?
Yeah.
And so, the Taylor Hall counterattack with his speed, he made it 3-1, and really took a lot of momentum out of it. I'll let Gil break down this Chikrin goal first, and then we'll talk about the Ovi goal after that.
So Caps did here what they probably should have been doing all along. Roy Dubois, a great 2-man game here, and then they just flood the net. So if this were a Commanders game, you'd see the clock and you'd see not much time left and a sense of urgency. So from here on, you need to play a hurry up offense, which is pretty much the mode they went into for the rest of the game, or tried to, I thought. But yeah, this is this right here is what they should have been doing. Spacing out, making them run around, making them chase you, and then just going straight to the net.
Players being out of position from where they should be,
right,
messes up the other team's defense, right? So, I think
you go to the net. Suddenly, there's not a whole lot of running around they can do. Suddenly, they have to crowd their net and they have to create the traffic in front of their goalie, which makes things 100 times harder. Why they haven't been doing that, I don't know. And the most frustrating element about the power play, I just saw it in the Jets game. They didn't score, but they got a goal a few seconds after it expired. The Jets goal, it came after their power play, but when they had it, they were moving around, they were moving their feet, they were changing positions. It was fluid. It was, even when they were taking shots and leaving the puck and having to recover, even that was great. They were recovering rebounds, doing everything they could to stay active. You watch this Capitals power play, and you might as well send 5 Greek columns with hockey sticks out there. I hate to be that harsh, but that's what it looks like at times, that power play. They all stand still. You can't do that against this team.
Yeah. Well, and I think that one of the things that stood out the most just watching is like, just because we score or we shoot the puck, it's almost like we just like, okay, then we like take a little breather and we kind of like, just relax a little too much. And Carolina's like, no, go. Like, puck drop, like we're at it. We're going to go 60 minutes, whatever. And we're just kind of like, oh, wait, not quite. We're just not there. And I wish that we had that sense of urgency that we just don't seem to have. And it's like, yes, this was
You just nailed it, Anna. Sense of urgency. This right here was it. They had it here.
They have, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, so have this with everything. It's like, why are we not having a sense of urgency? And why are we not having that, like, firecracker up the ass, like, let's go for all 60 minutes because this is the playoffs.
So but why do we think that is? Is it Carolina is making it look that way? For me, we're not getting clear zone entries and exits and I think that by missing some of these passes, Carolina is countering and putting us on our heels because we're spending so much time in our zone. So we can't get that attack going. But Gil, do you see, what are some of your thoughts on why they don't have this?
This is yet another classic case of, and I love doing this apparently, but yet another classic case of both things are true. So on one side of the coin, you have the Caps who are probably thinking to their peril that the old puck luck will be there, the movement will be there, the passes will be there, everybody will be where they're supposed to be, and everything's going to be tape to tape. No matter what we do, it's all going to connect and fall in line for us, fall in place for us, and it's not. And at the same time, on the other side of that coin, you have the Hurricanes who are doing everything humanly possible to disrupt that flow and doing a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, I think that they've seen us so much that they really understand what we're trying to do. And I don't know if we have enough time to change it. I don't even know what the changes need to be, Gil, for us to deal with some of this speed that they're fighting.
Here's the silver lining, and an example of that was on the previous goal with Wilson to Carlson. They have found seams in the coverage. And a friend of mine, Doug Lucerian, mentioned this in our chat room. Carolina probably plays the most predictable 60 minutes of hockey you can think of. You know what they're going to do. You know how they're going to play. So it's no secret. So if you know what's coming at you, you can probably get around them. I think part of it is mental, but I think you got a few guys, though, that, maybe don't quite have it as much as they had in the earlier part of the season. There's some wear and tear. You could make that argument. I don't know, but I think there's between all that, between wanting to and maybe the physicality wearing them down. Sooner or later, it's got to wear down the Canes too, which is why I would not be surprised if they took a miniature step back in this next game, and I'm not going to say lose on purpose, but maybe they take it a little easier and just kind of go in a little self-preservation mode. That's why I would not be surprised if the Caps end up winning the next game, but then turning it back on again. I don't know. We have not seen the Caps at their best. That much is obvious. Can they find it within themselves? I don't know. I really don't know. There's just too much at play. Too much we don't know why they just can't seem to come up with it.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we could even be our best without Favare. Like I think that he is such a seemingly important part, especially on the kill, the penalty kill, and not that our penalty kill has been particularly bad, but just those minutes then can be spread out amongst other defenders for other situational things, and they're less tired, and you don't have to play John Carlson so much on the penalty kill, so you can save him for maybe be rested for the power play. And
I
so
don't know why they have him on the penalty kill anymore.
yeah, I'm not quite sure why they do that.
The key to a good penalty kill is having your 4 fastest skaters so they can cover that open patch of ice that's left open by your missing man.
Yeah.
Anybody, John Carlson will probably never ever be known for making the United States Olympic speed skating team. Let's put it that way.
Right. But I think that they're worried about Alexiev, right? I don't think that they think that he can cover.
Oh, they're definitely worried. They're only playing him, as I mentioned, 5-6 minutes a night. They still don't trust him. And unfortunately, it's because they left him. He was their 7th D. They left him in the press box to rot 90% of the season. So,
yeah, I still kind of think that you could give him 7 to 10 minutes and relieve John Carlson a little.
You probably could.
Absolutely.
I don't know why they're not.
Yeah.
My biggest.
The eye test, I haven't seen him be that bad in the time.
No, I agree. I totally agree. He has not been that bad. But
well, and I was just gonna say that I think my biggest concern when you talk about where we are right now is we've gotten way too comfortable with that come back and win. Oh, we started off, behind and we won, and we started off slow and we won, and we came back. Way too comfortable, and it's not a mindset that any team should go into any kind of playoff game thinking that they can have that mentality going forward and into any playoff game. And I think that's our big hang up right now is it's worked for us, for the past 82 games or so, but that is not a good way to go into playoff hockey, and it's like, okay, you cannot rely on like being a comeback team. So I kind of feel like Carolina has given the Caps a wake-up call, to be honest, and it's like, we need to come in with a sense of urgency on Thursday night's game, and if we're going to really ramp it up, they have got to come back and do 60 minutes and not overthink and blah blah blah, but really just put that comeback team mentality aside. That like, we don't need to have that right now, like, oh, we've got this. We didn't have it in the first 20, kind of in the second 20, but come that we're gonna come back and we're gonna do it, and it's like, no, it's not happening, and Carolina's got a number on that. So it's time to kind of let's flip it a little bit and see what we can do to really shine and keep Carolina guessing in the next 3 games, hopefully.
Right. Let's get into this last goal by Ovechkin that we briefly talked about before, at a really important time in this game. I thought it was going to possibly make a difference, but Gil, why don't you take it from there?
So classic power play goal here. They move and they wait and they wait. They get a little lucky here. So Strome and Chychrun, it's them trying to play their 2-man game, and Ovi is able to slam it in for his 77th career playoff goal. And probably the best thing about that is he passed Mario Lemieux. So Penguins fans, another reason for them to cry. But yeah, even here, even if though it's the classic, Ovechkin from The Office, there's still a lot more movement. There's still all the pieces in the right place. Wilson's up front. Carlson is pinching in, for crying out loud. Two bodies in front of the net. Okay, so Slavin has no choice but to try and yo-yo between the two, and it leaves enough time and space for Ovi to do his thing, and that kind of a thing, that kind of adjustment. I need to see more of that. And I really would like to see Coach Carberry kind of pull out the stops. And I know he's developed or seen some gimmick plays, some tricks, something that he can pull out of the bag and just throw out there. And I want to see something like that come out in these next games.
It's wild that they have a defensive person in Carlson playing a forward position in this orientation, and then you have a second defensive player on the power play as well. So it's a little bit of a different look for the Capitals here for sure.
Well, it's a nice decoy because Carlson's primarily known as a puck mover, but there he's playing more of a bumper position, looking for a rebound or a deflection. I don't think they knew what to do with him.
Right.
And just stuff like that you can throw at this team that makes them think a little more. That I think that's the real edge that the Hurricanes have. They don't have to think; they can just play their game.
Yeah, for sure.
That's not a cut on them either. That just means they're better prepared and they are doing what they need to do and doing it well.
Right. They're what people call imposing their will, right?
Yes.
Setting up all the dominoes to fall the way they want. And you got to kind of disrupt those dominoes if you want to win the game and make the dominoes go your way. It'll be interesting to see how it is going forward. Gil, what are your thoughts? Do you think you think that we're able to win this next one and push it to 6? Or how are you feeling about this upcoming week?
Well, unfortunately, this next game, it's at home, and I don't think the Caps want to finish at home with a loss. But as I always say, you got to key in on the first 10 minutes. If not everything goes their way, if they get an early scoring chance and it doesn't go in, I think that they're going to let that bother them, and the mentality to just give up and just call it a season will start to creep in even more than it already has. And since they're already home, it'll be convenient. They don't have to get on another plane. But if something does go right and they have some fight in them, somewhere in the first 10 minutes, and they score a goal, they get an early lead, and they start to play smart hockey, there's a chance. There's always a chance. I think they're very much capable of winning this game, but it all boils down to that first 10 minutes. If it's a similar start to these last two games, it's no matter what the scoreboard looks like, it's not going to end well.
And if you think that they win game 5, let's say they do you think they have it in them to win a game in Carolina?
I think they do. Carolina's very beatable. I don't think the home ice is that much of an advantage. Yes, Coach Brindamore has a last line change and uses that to his advantage, but both teams will have a little more wear and tear on them. It's a little bit more like, okay, well, you got to muster up a little bit more energy to finally get that kill shot in, and that's not so easy to do the longer a series goes. So anything can happen, and if the Caps approach, God forbid, a game 6 with we have nothing to lose mentality, I think they can be very dangerous.
And how do you think that this week shapes up?
Well, I think we're gonna see a different Caps playing this second half of the series. I really do. I just feel like we know what they can do. We know that they earned this spot in the playoffs. So why not show, why not just come out? There's no excuses. There's no reason for excuses at this point, especially with this team. So I do think they're to come out strong tomorrow. Um, I think they can win in Carolina. I
Yeah.
really do.
Yeah.
I think with Carolina, I feel like that's the kind of team that I don't know if they can finish a series. I don't know if they have it in them. They've been strong so far. But I'm kind of hoping that the Caps are going to be that team that's like, oh yeah, F you, we're going to finish it.
Right.
That's what I want.
I'm actually
I,
excited that we have an extra day off. In
yeah,
the sense that I think for our older players, and John Carlson is clearly dealing with some sort of injury,
absolutely.
Yeah.
and Ovechkin who's been banged up as well, and I think that could do us a lot of good potentially. So, um, yeah, it'll be really interesting to see if that happens, and what happens if things don't go right off the bat, as Go was saying. Like if they score first, how do we respond to that? Do we just
Well, hopefully we respond like we have to the games that we have, all season, where all of a sudden we come back and kick ass and win. And it's like, if we're going to rely on that, which I don't want to, but if it works in our favor, fuck yeah, why not? I just would love to see, this team with, all that they've gone through, and, uh, you know, they had the hype of the Ovechkin humongous milestone, and losing good players and all those kind of things, just get into that headspace of back to the basics, play fun hockey, go out there and just enjoy it, stop overthinking, and do what we know you guys can do, and just bury this Carolina team.
Yeah, I think we force a game seven and lose badly, 4-1 or something. Like I just think that that's such a very typical
I
like
know.
that we will do it. And
But you
then
know what? Let's. I'd like to see it push to game seven.
yeah, I would be
Let's go.
happier with that
I
as
don't want
result.
them to lose tomorrow night.
Right. False hope is always a dangerous thing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my theme of this episode. But um, I do want to say Pacers did win 114-105 in theirs, so they advance. And so Knicks fans should be happy about that, because that's the 4 seed advancing, which means the Knicks, if they can advance, they'd actually get home court advantage for the Eastern Conference Finals in the NBA. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in this second hour. But I really appreciate getting both of your guys' take on it. A programming note for hockey fans before we finish up this hockey segment. The podcast will be back to Monday next week, unless we force a game seven, and then once again, since that would be on a Monday, we would do a show like today on a Tuesday. So we will make that announcement once we know the outcome of the Capitals season, and we will continue the show for a couple more weeks as the Defenders
Easy.
season continues on, and once the Defenders season and Capital season, once both of them are over, that'll be the beginning of our summer break. So just an idea of where we don't know how many weeks we've got left. Hopefully it's a lot. And hopefully at least the Defenders make the playoffs and extend that part of it, or the Caps somehow find a way to extend their playoffs. Either would be good for if you are a fan of this show. And so we'll be hoping for that. Anna, I'll let you have. I'll stop the screen share and give you your final take.
So I know, Gil, I was cranky and I was bitter and I was frustrated, and I am, but I'm going to say I'm going to try to just have faith, and that's all I can say. I'm gonna be rocking the red tomorrow. I'm gonna unleash the fury in Centerville, Virginia, the loudest I can, just to get my neighbors to be like, "Shut up," and my kids to probably be like, "Mom." um, but I'm hoping for the best. I really am. But there's only so much we can do, and at this point, we're just gonna have to sit back and watch and ride out the series the best we can.
I think your daughter has some plays this weekend, right?
She does.
So I hope
Yeah, she's doing Lightning Thief in Percy Jackson.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, in Manassas, and my friend is the director, so she's doing kind of like behind the scenes. But yeah, they are.
Does she have a Saturday night performance? Is there going to be a conflict for you if there's a potential?
I know, yeah, this is going to be one of those things where I'm like, all right, Ian Rochambeau, like, who's gonna win? Because yeah, then there's like Sunday at 2, so like we're working it out as buttering up to be like, I may not be your favorite mom or parent yet, but let's see if I can earn some points this week. Because yeah, it's like Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday afternoon. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I assume, Gil, you don't know when you're going to be recording your next show because for varying reasons.
It will be either Saturday or Sunday. Well, actually, so Saturday is Game 6. Should there be a Game 6? So if it goes to 6, the series will either end or go on. But yeah, unfortunately, we won't know until the outcome of Thursday's game. So if it goes to a Game 6, we'll record Sunday. God forbid the series ends Thursday night, then we'll record. Well, we'll probably record on Sunday either way. But if it does so happen that we end the season this week, again, getting down to the wire, guys. Last chance. Any Caps fan, you're welcome to join us. Have your say. I think some of I'm toying with the idea of kind of an all-star episode. Yeah. Where not just Anna, but C4 and our backup to the backup, our other backup. That's not going to be your nickname. I'm going to come up with something better, I promise. Jenny Clausen will be on with us too. She's done a pretty good job of filling in when she's had to as well. That's my ideal. I want to do something like that, but I want to have a chance for any other listeners who haven't had a chance to call in. We're a safe space. We're not Twitter. We're not, well, I love Facebook, but we're not Facebook. We're not your usual social media platform where you're going to get attacked for your opinion. Your opinion is just as legit as anybody else's. As long as you love the Caps, you can have your say. So please come on with us and talk it out with us, and let's see what we can find out here.
Yeah, definitely. I've always had a great time over there, and obviously, I'm a big fan. That's why I've now stolen both of you on my show as well. But you guys have been great all season long. Hopefully we have the most incredible comeback ever, and we have a very exciting show next Tuesday. I will do an all-star show of a similar effect on Tuesday if we can somehow get that to happen. I may have Ryan back on to give the Canes perspective if it doesn't work out, just to give both sides of that as well. So, yeah, it's always great to have lots of wonderful people on Gil's show. Definitely go check it out or be a part of it. I wish I had more time this season. I've just had such a busy year I usually get on about 2 or 3 times in the season. I think I only got on maybe once or twice this year. But it's a great time. I definitely always have a lot of fun. I always have fun with you guys on this show as well. So I appreciate you helping me lift my spirits even on a 1-3 week. So, a little scoring update here. Dallas is up 2-1. There's about 30 seconds left of a power play for Dallas. And time is winding down here at 12:50 left in the third. Again, if Dallas wins this, they take a commanding 3-1 series lead in that. So hopefully the Jets find a way. A lot of last-minute comebacks in the playoffs this year. I do realize that after the Ovechkin goal, we never really talked about it. There was an opportunity in that game for us to come and win, and a stick got stuck on the wall, Gil, and I've never seen that happen. And unfortunately, it slowed our guy down, and he wasn't going to do much without a stick. So it's not like he can just leave it. And yeah, it's just unfortunate, and I feel like that was a turning point at the very end of that game.
Just another example of, even though it involved a stick and not a puck, but just another example of bad puck luck. Not that that's the whole reason why, but yeah, Just that when it comes to that kind of a thing, just hasn't been the Caps series, and that's where I'm going to leave it. There are a few more things I could say. I think I'm going to keep the rest to myself, though.
There you go. Stay tuned.
I
You
am.
can say it on the next show.
There you go. I'm gonna jump off only because I gotta be up early.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh. Love it. I hope this is not our last episode.
Well, you guys are welcome to come back next week, of course, regardless of the outcome. But I know that it's a little harder to do the end of season one, so hopefully it'll be on a happier note. But I appreciate both of you guys as always, and definitely check out Gil and Anna on the Power Play Point podcast, and I'll do the Gil command here, so that way it pops up. And
Perfect.
I'll do the Anna one as well. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Gil.
Thank you.
Not enough time to talk about the other series, but lots of exciting playoff stuff. I will definitely talk about it a little bit in the next segment. Gil, well, I'll let Anna go, but Gil, have you watched the other series?
Yeah, I have been keeping an eye on things. Wow, lots of good hockey going on. It's going to be very interesting. I think the Eastern Conference Final is going to be wow. Whoever comes out of that, they're going to be pretty banged up. That Toronto Florida series, wow, it's turned into a war of attrition. Vegas Edmonton is probably the only series I've thought is going the way that I thought it would. Disappointed in Dallas Jets. Looks like Dallas is about to take a 3-1 lead. Disappointed, obviously, in our series. But yeah, I've definitely been keeping up with it.
Real quickly, that Oilers Knights series was almost a sweep, but it was a crazy bounce to give the Golden Knights their one win in Game 3. I was kind of happy that the Oilers won Game 4. That cheered me up a little bit yesterday after our game, because I know that I really didn't want Adrian to have the double dip of doom. And because he's a fan of the Oilers and the Caps, and that would be rough to lose both. So I was happy for the Oilers that they're able to pull that off. Big game on Wednesday tomorrow. The Panthers play the Maple Leafs at 7, and the Oilers play the Golden Knights at 9:30. Those games are in Toronto and in Vegas. So Vegas is trying to stay alive at home, and the Maple Leafs are trying to stop the bleeding. They went 2-0 down to Florida, and Florida was able to win both of those games. And I still think that the Panthers might be the best team remaining, because until you beat the champions, they are the champions, and I think they're going
to be the man, you got to beat the man.
Exactly. Or you could do like a Highlander reference, where you gotta, there could only be one. But
I knew you'd love that, champ. I knew you'd love that one, champ.
So anyway, it'll be interesting to see how those series go. And then on Thursday, again, the Caps play at 7, and then the Stars and Jets play at 9:30. And then Friday, if the series continues with the Golden Knights and Oilers, that'll be on. And then also the Maple Leafs and the Panthers, there will be a Game 6, so that will be on Friday. And then Saturday and Sunday's games and Mondays are to be determined depending on how they go. Welcome on in, Dreaming Truth, and welcome on in, Song Hon 30, and a fan of the Stars. Let's go Stars, 3-1. There you go. And Dreaming Truth, so good to have you here too. But Gil, thank you so much for helping us quickly break down some of those other series. We'll definitely break all of them down next week as well. And go check out, again, the Power Play Point podcast for more of the stylings of Gil and Anna. And so I appreciate both of them as always. And Gil, any final thoughts before we let you go?
No, just hoping for one game at a time, as the cliche goes. Just a good game Thursday night, and we'll go from there.
Yep. All right. Songhon saying it's going to be a rematch of last year. Is it Songhon? You can let me know how you pronounce it. But yeah, interesting on the Oilers versus Stars in the West. I could see that being a rematch for sure. So, well, thank you for joining us as well. I appreciate the first time chatter. So, Gil, thank you again, and we'll talk to you next week on Monday. If there is no Game 7 on our season recap, or if there is, then we will either do a season recap on Tuesday or hopefully the greatest comeback ever episode. So I'm pulling for that. So. Well, to be determined. Definitely check us out, facebook.com/sportsothp. We'll keep everybody updated. Also, my story on Instagram or stories on Facebook. You'll always have the information there as well. So, thank you again, Gil.
All right, pleasure.
All right. He said, I never saw the Stars in the Cup before. I'd like to see them in the Cup. They definitely made the Cup a long time ago, but it sounds like you were not maybe old enough to see that way back in the day. But yeah, it'll be interesting. It's hard for me to root for any Dallas teams right now. We've got Champ coming in, and I think Champ knows why I'm particularly hating on Dallas this week. Usually it's because of football, and this week it's because of another sport. Champ, do you think Champ? Do you think it's rigged? This.
I mean, if I were a gullible person and believed the internet, then my answer would be yes. But because I'm not gullible, the answer is no. Everybody knows that the draft lottery is just that. It's a lottery. It's a chance thing. Like, you could have the worst record in the NBA and still not have the top pick, like in other sports, like like in football, where if you have the worst record, you get the number one overall pick. It's by chance. You just the worse your record is, the more chances you have to get the number one pick. But somehow, some way, Dallas lets Luka go to LA, and now they have the number one overall pick. A lot of people look at that and be like, but I just see it as they didn't have as many chances at the number one pick as, say, the Wizards, but yet they somehow got the number one pick, and the Wizards, who had more chances to get the number one pick, ended up with the 6th overall pick. But it's not good because the record was trash, but it's good because that means you can get a quality collegiate player in the top 10 that can help make your team better over the next couple of seasons. I mean, the Wizards have picked in the top 10 the last 2 years, and these two guys that they got from France have been impact players over the last couple of seasons. So hopefully they can get themselves someone out of this draft in the 6th slot, and hopefully can make this team much better, because these past 2 or 3 seasons have been absolute garbage, to the point we stopped talking about them on this podcast, which is what brought me to this podcast in the first damn place.
I know. I love how you came as a Wizards contributor and you've stayed as the Swiss Army blade of commentators. Covering all sorts of different topics. And thank you, Dreaming Tooth, for the sending love and the hydrate. So I'm hydrated right now. What's weird to me, Champ, I agree with you. I don't know if it's right. I really don't know. But strange thing, how does the WNBA and the NBA Dallas teams both win the draft lottery in the same year? And I was reading something that was posted online, which I think is fake, but I will state it at least for the record, that there was talk that the league was pushing for Luka to move to LA, and that they said something along the lines of, "We'll make it up to you." And
yeah, that sounds definitely fake.
But
that sounds like BS to me.
Nico is so off the hook now for getting rid of Luka. Like, it's gonna be a forgotten thing now. It's just so strange to me, right? I just how do you go from one?
If he wants to make it up to the Dallas Mavericks fan base, he better hit a home run with that number one overall pick, because if he picks anything other than one of the,
there's no other option. And people are joking they should just sign him now. Like, why are we waiting? He's been such the clear number one for over a year. And
who has? I didn't hear you.
Cooper Flag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if he doesn't draft Cooper Flagg with the number 1 overall pick, that GM of Dallas is going to have to move. He's
Right.
going to have to move and unlist his address because fans are going to find him and they are going to hang him by a stake.
It was so funny. I was watching, or not watching, but I was reading some comments on Facebook, which is always dangerous. But someone was like, "This guy's gonna look like a genius because he shed Luca's contract, and now they can build around all this stuff with the extra money." I'm like, "You're paying AD more money than you're paying Luca. They shed nothing. Like, you're trading a $42 million contract for a $60 million contract next year, champ. 60. You're not shedding shit. Like, I don't like. That doesn't even make
Yeah,
sense.
he looks like he don't know what the hell he's doing.
Yeah,
He really looks like he doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
so it's just, oh my god, it's wild. But I hope this teaches the Wizards front office a lesson to stop tanking, though. Like,
I mean, the NBA has it. I'm not gonna lie to you. The NBA has it right with the lottery because no matter how much you tank, there's still no guarantee of the number 1 overall pick. Like I said, you can have the worst record in the NBA and have way more chances and way more of those balls in the tumbler to get the number 1 pick, and there's still no guarantee of the number 1 pick. The NBA has it right. The WNBA has it right. Basketball has it right when it comes to draft positioning, and it's not based on a record. It is based on chance. You know, baseball. I don't know if baseball does the same thing or not with the amateur draft. I don't know if hockey does the same thing with their amateur draft, but the NFL. I'm pretty sure the NFL needs to catch up. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to hate me saying that. And you know what? I don't care. The NFL needs to catch up. It needs to be a situation where it needs to be a lottery. Yeah, you could be 0-17 in the season, but that shouldn't guarantee you the number 1 overall pick. It should be a lottery where the lowest 10 teams have certain amount of balls in the tumbler, and the worse your record is, the more you get in there, and then it's by chance who gets the number 1 overall pick. That should be the way it should be. And then 11 through 32 should be based by record. That's the way the draft should be. That way, teams don't purposely tank or play. Not to say that they purposely do it, but let's be honest, they probably are. But let's not reward someone playing lackluster just so they can get a certain collegiate player that's coming out in that draft by let that be done by chance, period.
I kind of agree with you. It's such a different sport when you have 82 games or like over 160 in baseball versus in football. Like, I feel like there's less incentive to tank because there's so much less games, and you don't want to, your fan base won't be for that, because there's just only a certain number of games your fan base gets to see at home. Like, it's a different situation, I think, in a sport where you have 40 home games or or more. I did want to put up this graphic because I saw this on Facebook and I thought this was really interesting. In 2011, Chris Paul was traded from the New Orleans to LA, and New Orleans got the number 1 pick in the draft lotto. Then in 2019, Anthony Davis was traded to LA, and New Orleans got the number 1 pick. And then in 2025, Luka was traded to LA, and now the Mavs got the number 1 pick. It's very strange to me, right?
That's a hell of a coincidence. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Right,
that's a hell of a coincidence.
And a lot of them have to do with LA, and a lot of them have to do with Anthony Davis, which I thought was interesting. So, I don't know, just yeah. But counter argument, right? Because I like to talk about both sides of any story. In 2010, a lot of Wizards fans are pissed, right? Obviously, and I can understandably so, because they thought that this was going to be the highlight of their season, winning the draft lottery. And we were on the benefit of this one time in 2010, right? We weren't supposed to get the number 1 seed. We had a 1% chance, and we got it. So there has been an opportunity going that way as well. For whatever, yeah, I just wanted to point that out. But it is disappointing. I know Tim was really upset about it. It happened when he was here watching the Caps game, and yeah, it's just it's frustrating for sure. And we'll have to see what the Wizards are able to do, and I just hope that they're able to find some pieces to fit into this puzzle and figure it out from there. With that, I think we're gonna switch gears. I think to well, I'll let Champ. I'll let you choose. Do you want to talk about the UFL first, soccer, or baseball?
Let's talk baseball first. Very tough week for the Nationals this past week. Their game against the Guardians was rained out on last Monday, and so they played a doubleheader on Tuesday. They were able to split the doubleheader against the Guardians, but they still ended up losing 2 out of 3 to the Guardians. So not a good series there. But then it got worse when they took on the Cardinals, and the Cardinals got them with a 3-game sweep, outscoring them 20-3. Nats only managed 3 runs in a 3-game series, and one of those games they got shut out. So not a good series against the Cardinals. Was worse than the Guardian series. And then the Braves, they lost Monday night in the opener of that series in Atlanta, 4-3. They scored 2 runs off of an error in the top of the ninth to tie the game at 3. And then in the bottom of the ninth inning, Verdugo managed to get an RBI single to walk it off for the Braves. So the Braves almost lost this game, but still managed to come away with the victory. And then tonight, the Braves able to take the second game of the series 4-2. In this one, though, CJ Abrams did go yard in this game, but it wasn't enough. Braves were able to take it 4-2, and so they have one more. They have another game on Wednesday. Hopefully, Washington can at least avoid a second straight series sweep against an NL team, especially against an NL East rival. Right now, they're only in 4th in the NL East. They are only 2 games ahead of Minnesota, who sits in last place in the NL East. They currently sit now at 17-26 after losing game 2 to the Braves, but it's not looking good. And so far, what I'm seeing from this Nats team is the pitching has not been there. Offensively, they've been there in spurts. James Wood has been on a power surge as of recently, just hitting just the ball just jumping off of his bat. But the problem is with the run support, the pitching is not taking that run support and going out there and executing their pitches and keeping runs off the board. And that's where the issue has lied with this team for the last couple of years. And it seems to continue in this season. So they're definitely going to have to improve upon that. Mackenzie Gore seems to be the ace of this starting staff. He's going to have to step up and be that ace. He showed that in the season opener, the season opener against the Phillies with 13 strikeouts, but he hasn't really made that much of an impact since that opening day start. And so that staff is definitely going to have to get it together if they're going to compete in the NL East with Atlanta and with the Mets and everybody like that.
For sure. I want to give a little bit of an Orioles update. They had a really rough week. They got swept in Minnesota, losing 9-1, 5-2, and then 5-2 on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then on Friday, they went to LA. They were able to win the first one at the Angels 4-1. They lost 5-2, and then they won Sunday 7-3. And then they had the day off on Monday, and then today's game against Minnesota was postponed due to rain. So there'll be a doubleheader tomorrow at 12:05 in DC, and then also at 3:35. And then Thursday is at 12:35. So a lot of early games here in DC against Minnesota this week if the weather can hold up.
You mean Baltimore?
Or sorry, in Baltimore, yeah. So yeah, it's we'll mention to see the Orioles are just having a rough start to their season. They're 15-24 overall there. All right, or do you want to do soccer or do you want to do football?
Let's do soccer. We'll say football for last.
Okay.
All right. So DC United had 2 matches this past week. They went 1-1 in these matches. They won in the U.S. Open Cup round of 32, 2-0 over the Charleston Battery. Jacob Morrell and Jared Stroud both scored in the overtime period as they went in the 96th and then the 103rd minute of this game after it went to a 0-0 tie after regulation and everything like that. DC had 16 shots, including 6 that were on target. Charleston had 13 shots, 4 of them are on target. DC only had the possession of the ball 43% of the match to 57% for Charleston, but in the end, DC has moved on. They have moved on to the next round, the round of 16, where they will host New NYC in the round of 16 in the U.S. Open Cup. But then later on in the week on Saturday, they lost to Toronto 2-0. It was Lorenzo Insig in the 49th minute on a beautiful crossing pass to him to get the goal in and get Toronto up 1-0. But then they would go at 2-0 after Insig on a pass got knocked into the goal by DC United's Lucas Bartel for an own goal in the 66th minute to take a 2-0 lead, and that's where they would stay, and that's how the game would end with how they would finish off the game with a 2-0 victory after the own goal by Bartel. DC would not be able to do anything with it, and they would fall to Toronto. So again, they have NYC, they have New York City coming up in the round of 16 in the U.S. Open Cup on Wednesday, and then they head to Nashville. So the NYC game will be here in DC at Audi Field, but then on Saturday they head to Nashville to take on Nashville in Nashville. So they have another 2 matches this week, and if they defeat NYC, they will most likely have another 2 matches again next week because they'll be in the they'll be in the quarterfinals of the U.S. Open Cup. So again, an up and down week for them. They won 2-0 to continue on in the U.S. Open Cup, but then they lost 2-0 in regular MLS play. Hopefully they'll have a much better week this week and maybe go 2-0 by advancing into the quarterfinals of the U.S. Open Cup and gain some ground in the table of the Eastern Conference, where they currently sit 12 on the table in the Eastern Conference. They are 5 points outside of the playoff situation. If the playoffs were to start today, they would not make it. But they are 5 points away from 9th place, which would get you into a play-in for the playoffs for the MLS playoffs. So a lot of work to do, but it's still a very long season for them. They still have a lot of matches to be played, a lot of time to kind of gain ground, but they have to really get it going. Again, their U.S. Open Cup matches, I don't think count towards their record for the MLS regular season, but it would still be helpful for them to be able to win those MLS regular season games and be able to make that move forward.
So just one little correction. The
Okay.
New York City FC game is actually just a regular season game on Wednesday.
Oh, it is. Okay.
They do play Charlotte in the next game of the Open, and that's on the 21st. So really busy week in the sense that there's a game on the 14th, 17th, and then 21st, and then 24th, and then 28th for them, and one on the 31st. So that's a lot of games here in the month of May for a sport where you usually play once a week. So we're talking about 5 games that are MLS games and at least one more of those. So it's 6 more games in the remaining couple of weeks here. So it's going to be interesting to see how that takes a toll on the team and what they choose for it. The team that they were able to beat was a Division 1 or like a Division 2 team. So it's a team that's like in the minor leagues of the MLS. So for people who do not know the team that we beat, that's probably why. So I just wanted to explain that. But in the next round, they'll be playing Charlotte, who is a team in the main division of MLS. So a harder out for sure. But yeah, a lot of exciting stuff to break down. We'll have a Wednesday and a Saturday game for us to talk about next week, and then the following week we'll talk about the Charlotte game and the Red Bulls game as well. We can switch gears here to let me just switch up the graphics, and we will put in the Defenders graphic. And Champ, this was such an interesting game. I thought that they played a lot better than they played the previous week. Of course, their opponent was not as good. They let them hang around. It was a back and forth game. I of course I told everybody stay tuned and make sure you watch on Friday because it's not a weekend game, and then remembered it on Friday right after the game was over. So then I watched it on the replay on YouTube, and I love the breakdown on YouTube because they cut it down to a 15-minute game, but they don't show the point after attempts. And I think in a game that was this close, it was really important, like, because they missed a lot of them. Then they were able to make one later on that was significant. And none of them, whether they made or missed them, were shown in this replay. So that, I think, is something the UFL could work on, and including that in their highlight package. But I was happy the Defenders would be able to get back on the winning side of things. And there were some really good throws by our quarterback in this game that we had not seen for the previous 2 weeks. But Champ, what are some of your thoughts on the Defenders?
Jordan Tehamu, I think, had his most accurate throwing the football game of the season so far. He was 19 of 24, so above 70% of it. He completed over 70% of his passes, 278 yards and 3 touchdowns, and didn't throw an interception. So that's an even bigger key here, is that he didn't turn the ball over. He had a quarterback rating of 154.5, so near perfect for Teamo on this day. He had some really good throws in this one. Didn't really miss a lot of open receivers. Had some time to make throws and do things. The thing that still frustrated me, though, was the run game continues to be stifled by these defenses. 20 carries between 4 rushers for 70 yards, though Deion Jackson did get in the end zone on a rushing touchdown, but 70 yards as a team with between 4 rushers is still not very good, and still makes you very predictable when people face you as a defense. But Tiamo, I think, had a really great game. Braylon Sanders is highlighted here. His lone catch was that 76-yard touchdown catch that he had on a beautiful ball from Teamu. It was his only target, but he made the most of that lone target, getting that big touchdown. On the other side, when we talk about the run game, San Antonio's run game was absolutely on point. Jashawn Corbin only carried the ball 9 times, but he had 109 yards on the ground and a touchdown. That's the type of productivity you want from your run game, that he can go out there and only run the ball 9 times and basically average almost 12 yards per rush and get a touchdown. So he did his thing there. Kevin Hogan, 20 of 31, 229 yards and 2 touchdowns. But he did have a very, very costly fumble towards the end of the first half of that game when they were trying to drive the score before the end of the half. He ends up fumbling, which ended up getting returned for a touchdown for the defenders that gave them more momentum going into the second half. And really, I think that fumble really stifled the Brahmas at that point, and they weren't the same after that when DC was able to get another fumble later on that they recovered. So they managed to get 2 turnovers. They also managed to sack Hogan 3 times in this game. So it was a very good defensive effort by this team and by this defense that we haven't really seen in the last couple of weeks. Though, yes, they did give up 24 points, but defensively they still looked absolutely stout, and they forced turnovers and they got sacks. They got to the quarterback and they were able to get that revenge on the Brahmas after the Brahmas got their first win of the season off of them in Audi Field just a couple of weeks ago. Now we get to face our rivals, and this time it's going to be here in DC. I believe it's here in DC. I may be wrong. You can correct me on that one. But we get that revenge game, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait.
Yeah, so a couple of different things. I thought that the defense of the defenders came up huge in the second half, but credit to the Brahmas for sticking with it through the whole second half, and they even had an opportunity to march down the field towards the very end, and they made a big time completion, and it looked like they were going to get a first down, but we were able to force that second fumble that you mentioned and recover the ball, and that was what sealed the game. But if they hadn't forced that second turnover, I'm not sure what would have happened at the end there. There was yeah, at the point it's a 6 point game, right? So it's still very close, and so it was a big defensive stand for them. The Dallas Stars did just win. They took a 3-1 lead over the Jets. So now both number one seeds in the NHL are on the brink of elimination here. And it's weird because both number one seeded teams were favored to lose in this round, which I thought was an interesting thing coming into it. The Stars have been playing phenomenal. Right now in the basketball, Denver is up 56-53 in a very close game. That series is tied 2-2 between Denver and OKC. There's 27 seconds left in the first half in that. Going around the other scores in the UFL, the Panthers beat the Renegades 25-24, which is actually really significant for us, champ, because they had only been one game behind us in the standings, and now they find themselves 2 games back. So with 7 games played and 3 games remaining, we have a 2-game lead on the third place team. And if people don't realize, the top 2 teams from each division make the playoffs, right? So
Yes.
I was disappointed that the Battlehawks did win, but it's less important that another team wins. It's more important that the Dallas, well, Arlington or whatever they are, loses, so that way you get short one of those 2 slots. So it'll set up some interesting matchups coming up in the next few weeks. And the other game, the Stallions beat the Roughnecks 33-25, and the Battlehawks beat the Showboats 19-9. And that knocks the Showboats and the Stallions out of contention for Memphis. Is that right? So it's Memphis was knocked out, the Showboats, and the other one was us. We knocked out the Brahmas. So there's 6 teams remaining now for 4 spots. and the standings are Birmingham 5-2, Michigan 5-2, Houston 3-4, DC 5-2, St. Louis 5-2, and Arlington 3-4. So Arlington has now lost 3 games in a row, which is fairly significant because they were definitely in the hunt. And Houston did lose this week. So looking ahead to week 8, so it's the third to last week here, we got the Showboat and the Brahmas in the battle of 2 teams that are already eliminated. So that I'm sure will do great ratings for Fox on Friday. And then we got Panthers and Roughnecks. Panthers are 5-2, and the Roughnecks are 3-4. The Roughnecks trying to stay alive in their division, and the Panthers are trying to kind of almost knock them out in some ways. That'll be a Saturday at 1:00 game on Fox. And then, KR Acoustic.
Hey, KR.
Just rated in with 17 viewers.
Well, he did pop into your chat and said, "Raid."
I appreciate that, KR. I'm on for KR Acoustic, and I was over checking him out earlier. And KR, you can feel free to send me a whisper on here if you or your co-host in today's show, if either of you guys want to talk a little bit of hockey at the end of this, you guys are always welcome. Insert witty raid call that I couldn't copy. KR said I'm always checking him out. It's true. So KR Acoustic, a Canadian loop artist, bringing you everything from 70s to today. They're 420 friendly and always up for some shenanigans. And so KR and I have been friends for a long time. I was actually one of the very first people to follow him on this platform. You want some Maple Leafs hype? Yeah, I always love Maple Leafs hype, so if you guys want to chat Maple Leafs, I'll send you over a Zoom link, but that's up to you guys on whether or not you want to join. We're talking about the UFL right now. The Stallions are playing the Battle Hawks. It's a battle of 2 teams that are 5-2. And important for playoff positioning. That game will be also it's Saturday at 1 p.m. So they have 2 Saturday 1 p.m. games. That's weird. I guess it's regional coverage, kind of like the NFL is, but I hadn't seen that before in the UFL. Usually they kind of stagger them a little bit more. But I'm looking at the ESPN app, and since ESPN owns the rights to part of the league, I assume that they're going to have this correct. Sunday, May 18th, the Renegades play the Defenders. Again, this is such a huge game because the Renegades need to win to stay alive. And if the Defenders win, that'll put them 3 games up with 2 games remaining. So I think that they would, if my math is correct, they would clinch a playoff spot with a win if they could beat the Renegades, because that would be the next closest team that could take a spot. And because they would only, their maximum amount of wins that they could get at that point would be 5. So it's an important win because we would have 6 then. So the big time game, DC is favored by 3 in that one. It's a home game at Audi Field. It's a 12 p.m. Start on, and that one will be on ABC and ESPN Plus. So big time game for the Defenders this week where they can punch a ticket to the playoffs. And I'm still looking ahead to potentially a Week 10 matchup where Champ and I might go. We're still a little bit on the fence, but it's looking more and more likely if the Caps are out of it.
Poor Caps. Jesus Christ, man. They're number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, and Carolina said, "We don't give a fuck about your seed."
Ooh, KR says that he might join us and talk a little hockey at the end of this thing. So hold on, let me copy an invite link, and KR, I'm going to whisper it to you, and then you can open up Zoom on your computer. Let me see, how do I do this? Quick whisper.
While you do that, I'll get the wrestling talk started and start things off. So Monday Night Raw, they basically are following up with this new alliance with Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, but it looks like they have a big big enemies to face off in Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and CM Punk, who's back and in the mix. So it looks like there's a possibility that Seth could add a third to this mix. They've already scheduled a tag team matchup between Braun and Seth against Sammy and Punk for Saturday night's main event, which is coming up not this Saturday, but the following Saturday in Tampa as part of a big weekend in Tampa for WWE. So we're going to get to see that tag team match as part of a huge Saturday night's main event show that's going on. Jey Uso, it looks like Jey Uso, if he successfully defends the World Heavyweight Championship against Logan Paul at Saturday night's main event, he will then face Gunther Walter on Raw in less than 4 weeks' time in a rematch from WrestleMania. So there's that coming up. And so we got that going on. Becky Lynch seems to be not done with Lyra Valkyria, it seems like. And Io and Rhea on a collision course once again for the World Heavyweight Women's World Championship. They were victorious over Roxanne Perez and Julia on this week's episode of Raw in a tag team match, which was really, really fun to watch. It was the main event and fun matchup, but I think they're going to be on a collision course. But don't count out Julia and Roxanne being involved. The War Raiders were upset by American Made, the Creed brothers, in a tag match, thanks in part to the World Tag Team Champions, the New Day. We didn't get to see much follow-up from Rusev other than a pre-made promo, which and it looks like Akira Tozawa wants a shot at Rusev, but he wasn't quote-unquote medically cleared, so they're going to probably build that one up. Oh, and AJ Styles beat Finn Balor in what was a fantastic match and here's what a lot of wrestling fans will know. This matchup was a matchup of the first two leaders of the Bullet Club. Finn Balor, who created the Bullet Club over a decade ago, and then AJ Styles, who became the leader after Balor got signed to WWE and left New Japan Pro Wrestling. So it was the first two leaders of Bullet Club facing off, and it was a fantastic matchup. But a lot happened on Raw. A lot happened on SmackDown. You have Battleground coming up for NXT. You have Saturday night's main event. You have Double or Nothing for AEW. New Japan's in the midst of its Best of the Super Juniors 32 tournament. They've already completed 2 days of action so far. Night 3 is going to be tomorrow early morning, 5 a.m. start time here on the East Coast, and 6 p.m. in Japan, with more action in the Best of Super Juniors tournament. It's 2 nights in Corcoran Hall where it's all block action, no preview tags. So people are going to start trying to separate themselves from the pack with only 9 matches. Each competitor is going to only have 9 matches. So every match is going to be of great importance. And so a lot is going on in wrestling. And finally, on a somber note, and we'll do an even more bigger tribute this weekend on the podcast, but rest in peace to Terry Brunk, also known as Sabu, the former ECW world champion, former ECW tag team champion, former TV champion, who passed away at the age of 60, almost a month after his retirement match that took place on WrestleMania weekend. I was telling somebody the other day, I said it's almost like he knew his time was up, and that's why he ended up having his retirement match then, and then a month later, he's no longer with us. So rest in peace to Sabu. We'll have a much bigger tribute to Sabu on the podcast this weekend, either probably on both the New Japan podcast, Best of Super Juniors Rewind, as well as the weekly podcast. We'll have our tributes to Sabu because all of us who are part of the No Spots Network got to watch Sabu during his time in ECW, how crazy he was, and what the type of things that he did, but he was so entertaining and such a attention grabber that it's worth being able to talk about him and his contributions to the wrestling world. So that's all we got there. But yeah, that makes sure you check out Best of the Super Juniors Rewind Thursday, streaming live on Twitch with myself and Sage. We'll look at the first 4 nights of action and see where we are in terms of our predictions. And then Sunday, we're back on our regularly scheduled day and time for the podcast. Me and Sith are going to talk about Backlash, which was a pretty good pay-per-view. Randy Orton versus John Cena was a classic. It was so good. It was really, really good. Definitely go out of your way to go find it and watch it. It was really good. It probably wouldn't be on the level of some of their previous encounters, but given that this was the last time these two are going to face and they are generational rivals, this was definitely a well-booked and well-done final match between these two, with Cena retaining the championship, but it was so well done. And so definitely go out the way to see that. We're going to talk about that, as well as all the fallout from Backlash that we got from Raw and SmackDown and everything this Sunday. Twitch.tv/True No Spots Pod. We're going to be all over that, so we can't wait for y'all to join us. If you can't join us for live stream, the audio will be up on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music.
One last question for you, Champ. I love the breakdown. What was your other than the John Cena match, what was your other favorite match at Backlash?
Oh man, I'm trying to remember, because I'm gonna be honest with you. I was not there mentally on Saturday because I was going off of no sleep and I was just not there. But I tried to pay attention as best as I could. I will have to say my other favorite match was Valkyria versus Becky. Because Becky tried everything she could to beat Laura and couldn't do it, and then still tried to beat her up afterwards. That was definitely a top one. All the matches did what they needed to do and were good in their own way, especially Walter versus Pat McAfee, because Michael Cole was such a homer for Pat McAfee. He said he's going to be biased, and sure enough, he was totally biased in this matchup. But of course, Walter, being the ring general, ended up getting the victory. But it was Pat McAfee still showed like heart and tenacity in this matchup. It was still real well done. And then even Walter had to show respect to Pat because of how good of an effort Pat put on in this matchup against someone who's been in the game for a long time, who hits hard and does things with purpose. So every match was good in its own right, but definitely Cena Orton and Laura Valkyria versus Becky Lynch were my top two favorites.
Yeah, I was impressed with the wrestling of Pat McAfee. I know you had told me a couple weeks ago that he's actually a pretty good wrestler, and he put on a good performance. And I thought it was a good card, straight up and down. Sith did a great job with the live reaction. I enjoyed watching it over there with him, and so thank you. Yeah, everyone go check out the True No Spots Pod on Twitch.tv and check out Champ and Sith and Sage and all of them over there, and they do a lot of great work if you're into wrestling. And Champ, you did a phenomenal job as always, breaking down all the different DC sports. Schedule comes out this week for the Commanders, so we'll definitely be posting that on our facebook.com/SportsOTHP. We'll be breaking that down next week, our thoughts on that. And Champ, hope you have a great week, and I'm hoping to see you on Tuesday, not Monday, because that means that there'll be a Game 7. If there's no Game 7 in the Cap Series, we'll be back to our regularly scheduled Monday show. But Champ, I appreciate you for jumping on a Tuesday with us.
Hey, Commanders are heading to España in November to face the Dolphins. I cannot wait for that. Go Quiqueño. Sayonara.
Sayonara, Champ. Thank you again. All right, with that, we're going to switch gears, and we got a special guest rating in. I'm very happy to have them on. I've been friends with KR for a long time. You guys are both a member of the Damn Animal Band that I got to see up in Toronto as I was celebrating my 40th birthday last year. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves so people know who you guys are, and then I'll ask you a couple of questions about some hockey. Oh, I think you're still muted on Zoom. I think, KR, you gotta unmute yourself in Zoom. it's been almost years since I've had KR on the program. Hey.
I'm Aini Kamosi, and I wrote Hot Shaker.
I'm not.
Shout out to the People's Champ. You know what? I used to watch wrestling a long time ago, like in university, when it was like The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh man, I go
And
way
Vince
back.
McMahon.
I go way back to Jimmy Snuka and
George the Animal
Rowdy
Steel?
Piper, and the guy who ate the turnbuckle, right? With the the blue mouth.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Andre the Giant.
Way back.
Anybody want a peanut?
I love that. I love that. I actually used to watch it back in the day as well, and then I had a big hiatus there, and then Champ has been on this network for the last bunch of years, and he's won me back over, and so now I check that out.
That's good. I remember so when I kind of like split from wrestling was like the Generation X time, right? I thought it kind of went too far and it was getting a little too I don't know what the word is.
Glam. Too glamorous.
No, not glam. It was like really getting disgusting. You know what I mean? Like, but it actually worked. You know what I mean? At that time, it was like there was a time where, like when the Montreal screw job basically kind of did it for me, where it was like, okay, this is just, it's BS, right?
Right.
It got a little too political, I guess.
Yeah, it was
but
an interesting time.
Still love wrestling to this day. Everybody knows what wrestling is. Everybody knows what it is.
Yeah,
we didn't know it. We didn't know it that much back then. You know what I mean? We thought that it was like really like it was like people didn't like each other, and it was them against them and us against them or whatever. But I mean, wrestling is pretty much taken off since then.
Yeah, no, it's huge right now. I mean, think about how much Netflix and
I know, that's recent, is it not?
Yeah,
last year or so. It's like
exactly. So it's Netflix for Raw in the United States, and then Netflix actually like carries all of what they used to call them pay-per-views, but now they're called premium live events. You're not like paying for them individually anymore. So, but in the United States, it's confusing because we have it on Peacock for, which is like owned by NBC. For the premium live events. So you kind of have to have a lot of different subscriptions for it. But I like the move to Netflix for Raw. It's made it more interesting for sure.
I haven't seen any of them.
Yeah.
I haven't watched wrestling for like 20 years. But it's still there. It's always there, and
Yeah, if you have Netflix, it's interesting because I like the fact that there's not a set time anymore. Because when you were on network TV or when you're on cable, like you've got a 2-hour block or a 3-hour block, right? So they now have it as a not set time, right? So they just go as long as the content is interesting. So sometimes it's just over 2 hours, sometimes it's closer to 3, right?
But then you can watch it if you missed it.
Right, exactly.
Right? If you have a Netflix membership.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
Yep. So I love that. And then they've also had opportunities to air things at different times. Like they were in Europe, and so they aired it live at 3 p.m. because it was live in Europe at the time.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was kind of cool.
Let me ask you, Robbie, like what are their storylines these days?
Yeah.
Remember like 20 years ago they had storylines, right? Like based on social.
The big one is there's a thing called the Bloodline, which is like kind of a continuation of The Rock and all of those kind of.
The Rock.
Yeah, like
really.
Yeah,
if you smell
The Rock is good. Jabroni. Yeah, Jabroni. Yeah.
He's actually now one of the owners of the whole entire thing. And
for sure.
What about Hunter?
And other family members like cousins and stuff like that are a part of it. And so they've got they have a bloodline, and then there was a new bloodline. They like split factions and they went against each other, and so that's part of the storyline.
That's amazing.
And
There's
then
always drama. It's like a really muscly soap opera.
it is,
right?
It is.
Right? It's a masculine soap opera.
Right. It's I think it's a masculine soap opera combined with Cirque du Soleil, right? So it's like this crazy acrobatics and this
not as much.
Right.
Not as much. I don't want to get gloomy, but from Owen Hart.
Right.
They don't do a lot of that kind of.
They still do a lot of
do they
flips and tricks and shit like that. Not as much like up high, but
I wouldn't do anything that they're doing. I wouldn't do. Like,
well, I would
man,
if I
pick me
I
up
would
over
if
your
I
head
had
and
all that
slam me down on the
testosterone
fucking
running
floor.
through me
Yeah,
all
I'm
the
good.
time. Like that's like these guys
Sorry,
are like just like very fucking they just have to like grab that fucking crocodile. You know what I mean? They have to they gotta just do it. You know what I mean?
It's not making it to YouTube.
And then it's like, well, we'll see what happens afterward. Look at fucking Mankind or
the man with the claws.
Yeah, when he got thrown through the cage, right? Or on top of the cage, right?
Oh yeah.
Amazing.
Some crazy shit onto stuff. And it's funny because I'm watching Cal and Champ talk and chat about whether it's fake or predetermined. And I agree, it's predetermined, but it's definitely not fake. They're taking
the physicality is not fake. That's the one thing. Like it's predetermined that this move is going to be made, right? Or something. But
and that's important.
But they know that it's a physical action.
Right, but they have to have it predetermined for the safety of it, right? Because
I don't know about that. I don't think Vince McMahon cares about the safety.
Right,
you know what I mean?
True.
They sign their contracts, and if they can't fucking perform, they're done.
Yeah,
right?
And actually, there was a little bit of that this week where Braun Strowman, one of it's kind of like their new Andre the Giant, kind of like really big guy. Yeah. Right, he got hurt too many times, and he just wasn't worth the super high contracts, and so they let him go. But there's talk that they may have him return for storylines, but just not at that high of a cost.
Right.
And so they let him go last week.
How big's this guy?
Yeah. So,
how big is he?
Yeah.
Anybody want a peanut?
And Champ mentions that Vince isn't in charge anymore. Triple H is actually in charge.
True.
Yeah.
That's been going on for a long time, though. He's
been
married to his daughter.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm sure that there's still strings being pulled.
No, I remember Hunter Hearst Helmsley, right?
Yeah.
Remember when he first came out?
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, I didn't like him. He was like, remember Leaping Lanny Poffo?
Mm-hmm.
Remember him?
Yeah.
Which is like Randy Savage's brother, right? This guy
Lanny
came
Poffo.
out, Leaping Lanny Poffo, and he was like the worst character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, but nobody realized that behind the scenes, this guy was a genius, right? He couldn't do it on the stage or in the ring, but he was like, his brother, Randy Macho Man Savage, that's his brother.
Yeah.
They're brothers.
We should have kept Champ for this segment. I had no idea we were going to.
Well,
no, I didn't realize
either.
I didn't realize either. But I'm probably Robbie. I'm probably like wasting it. Like it's diarrhea for me. It's like coming back.
It's fine. I love
this guy. This guy came on the channel again. I wouldn't be able to tell these stories. But they're just gone. They're down the toilet.
Right. No, I love it. I love talking about sports of all different types, and I sort of piss off my wife by liking wrestling because she's just like, it's just too like macho, and it's like the wrong message for children, and all these things, and I keep on getting under her a little bit by saying it's just theater, honey, because she's a theater man.
No, I get where she's coming from though, because it can get like the wrestling does. They want to get to the line or maybe cross it and maybe somebody draw another line, right? You know what I mean?
Bring it back.
I get it. It's the entertainment. It's the shock factor. It's just like anything you watch on TV. It'll get that everybody wants to push the boundaries, right?
Right.
And then maybe you went too far based on the, response on something or whatever, like everybody's always like that line is so it goes like this, right? goes here, comes back, goes there, goes there, goes there. You know, that's entertainment.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
entertainment.
Pull you back in.
And Kel says that, you know, hockey does something similar. It's true. Although I find that the fighting side of hockey and some of those theatrics have definitely tamed down. I mean, they had their
well, that's hockey is like nobody knows what to do anymore in hockey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
you know, the players, they don't know what the fuck to do anymore.
It's gambling. It's gambling.
They barely fight, right?
Right.
Barely.
They only have one fight this entire postseason so far.
Really?
Yeah,
Out of all the
weird.
series?
That's
I didn't
super
realize
fucking
that.
weird, right?
Yeah. Like a real scrap?
Like
5
a real
minutes for
scrap.
fighting?
It's been like roughing minors where they're shoving.
Well, when they say
around.
5 minutes for fighting, you
right? Yeah.
like,
5 minutes for fighting, you know, like that. There's only
you elbow my fucking goalie, you are gonna need a dental plan. I will do whatever it takes to knock your fucking teeth out.
Well, nobody knows where. That's my
that
point.
didn't happen, though.
Kelly, that's my point. Nobody knows where the line is.
But look at how
nobody
many times
knows where the line is anymore. Like, look what happened. Remember that fucking Roy guy for Vegas with the cross check right in the guy's face at the end of the game, the Edmonton guy's face, right?
Nothing.
Boom. He didn't even get a game for it.
Nothing.
Or a fine, right? But he literally went.
I was so happy.
And then Domi.
Edmonton came back and won the next game because what a fluky way to lose game 3 with
God,
with no time left and a deflection off your own guy. Like,
yeah, but remember game, was it game 2 against who was their first round opponent?
For the Oilers, it was
LA.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Remember when they were down 3 goals and they came back and tied
jerseys.
it up? And then they went right back, and that fluky goal that went right over Skinner's glove or what, it just fluttered right over.
It's like 4-1. 4-1 with like 7 minutes left in the third period.
Yeah.
And they came back.
That's Edmonton for you, man. They're going to give you that all playoffs long.
Yeah. I would have changed the channel. I would have been
I thought it was over. I stopped watching. My dad called me and he was like, "Did you see this crazy comeback?" And luckily it was DVR, and I like rewound it as they had the 15-minute break before overtime. I was like,
it's like the other day you came home and I was like, "Did you see the game?" You're like, shut the fuck up.
No, I was working. Okay. I didn't hear anything yet.
Okay.
Don't tell me no.
Okay, well, okay.
I actually thought they lost, but they won that one.
Yeah.
Anyways.
The Toronto series has been wild, though. Like, I was really impressed with their play in the first few games, especially against a really good Florida team that's I've been talking about. Like,
home.
Until their champs are beat, they're the champs, and they're a tough out. And Toronto isn't known for giving themselves a big lead in a series, and
not in the last 10 years. No, not at all. You're right, Robbie. Like, yeah. They're like they're like, it's like they have so much talent, and it's like, boom, it'll just ignite. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It'll just ignite. Like, they're like, this team has got the defense. Now we're on the fence on the goaltending just because of what happened, right? Even though everybody thought Joseph Wall was going to be the starter at the end of last season.
He's skating. He skated today.
Okay, I was about to ask, like, what is his status?
Stolarz?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Sorry,
Stolarz. Sorry.
Yeah.
Wall's the guy. Wall's the guy that got put in, but he was supposed to be the number 1 starter at the beginning of the year.
But
until they made that free agency thing with Stolarz. And the three of them, the 3 Panthers, right? Stolarz, Ekman Larson, and what's his name? The fourth line guy. Anyways,
not McCabe,
he's the bass player of the band.
Not McCabe.
Nobody remembers his name.
Yeah, I was.
Robbie doesn't even know.
Yeah,
he knows more about hockey.
There's no scouting report on this individual.
It'll come to us. But anyways, it doesn't matter. That's 3 guys that came.
But yeah, it was interesting because I obviously have followed Toronto actually pretty closely because I'm a huge Steve Dangle fan. I've been
Oh, are you?
of his for almost 18 years since he
Yeah.
started, and he's got such
Great name.
passion for. You hate him?
Great name.
No.
Oh, great name.
Great
Okay, I
name.
thought you
Steve
hate him.
Dangle.
Yes, I
You
know.
put him in the shootout.
Right, exactly. And I was so proud of him for actually becoming like a member of the media for a while, and having like the dang its and the picks and all that sort of stuff. And what a cool thing! And then creating his own network. And
Yeah.
I like actually watching the watch-alongs. I'll actually mute the announcers for the things. I think the announcers in the U.S.
For the game?
for hockey, and he does a live stream while he watches them now.
No way.
And so I actually just turn on his audio, so I'm watching on YouTube TV anyway, and I'll just
I
have
didn't know
one
you could
tab,
do that.
and I just have one tab open and have his YouTube channel open, the live stream, SDPN, and mute my. And it's almost dead on. It's funny because there's a delay because of the YouTube, and there's also a delay because of YouTube TV, and so it's fairly close. It's like within
Just
5 seconds.
Pause real quick on the live, like on your live feed.
Exactly.
Just
I
go
pause
pause,
on
pause,
his
go.
live. Yep, exactly.
And
I pause
it's in
until they
sync.
get- And then I've actually been doing that lately for the Capitals too, because I hate our ESPN announcers. They're terrible. And
Do you? Why? Tell us why.
You don't get Jamie Bowen?
It's just no, we don't.
Joe.
We don't get
It's Joe.
Joe
Bowen.
Bowen. Sorry, Joe
we
Bowen.
we don't get like any of the good commentators up north. Like ESPN. It's so
Well,
third-
let me ask you this. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but let me ask you
He's
this.
a big interrupter.
What I can be, I suppose. I'm a wedge. They call me wedgie. What makes a terrible commentator?
Well, he was like, this guy was talking about certain, I can't remember specifically, but they were just spitting facts that just weren't true, in general.
Oh, really?
And I was like, oh, crap. Like,
About what, though? The players?
it was something about.
Wait, did we talk about Trump?
Yeah,
Shut up.
it was
Sorry.
penalties or something, but he was like misquoting something. I was like, what the fuck are you even talking about? Like, that's not even a rule. Like, and then he had to like correct himself mid-sentence. And
Oh,
like,
no.
and it was
Like
just
the
like,
view.
yeah, exactly. And I was like, oh, this is pretty terrible.
The
And they're
view. The view on hockey.
Yeah, exactly. But it's so drab, and I'm sorry. Like, when I watch a hockey game, I kind of want my Homer announcers. Like, like I don't necessarily love the unbiased, and especially Carolina's was carrying the play, so they're giving them lots of praise, which I don't really want to be hearing.
Yeah.
And so I would prefer. So I actually just turned
Oh,
on.
so that was like a local. It was like a local
I turned
broadcasting
on our
network.
local radio station.
Yours,
in
yeah,
Jeff-
Washington.
Yeah, in Washington, and then
Yeah.
just watched it synced up similar to what I was
Right.
talking about.
Yeah.
And it was much better because
I do not like biased commentating. It's terrible. I don't like I'm with you, like the network one or whatever. The Rangers, the guy just retired. I can't remember what his name is. What do you want to talk like this? And I would like going on the like he was really good, but it was all Rangers, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It was like these guys really need to
Seems to
like
always
get their
be-
power play going, and they need to like their defense and blah 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 blah. And it's like, come on,
Well, that's my
just watch
problem.
two
Is
teams.
like I don't mind bias reporting if it's the home network because you know what you're getting yourself into, right?
True.
But
Yeah,
when you're
true.
supposed to be ESPN and unbiased, and then they're just shitting all over the Capitals all the time, and it's just like the only time they weren't shitting on the Capitals that I've ever known networks to do is in the Stanley Cup run when they were playing so well that they couldn't, question it, and the other time was during this Ovechkin run, which they're just milking the shit out of that, right?
Yeah,
So like.
yeah.
But
Of
beyond
course,
that, like they seem to always hate us, and I'm not sure why. But it's
That's weird, man. I mean, because well, we get that in Toronto, obviously, right? Because it's always but when it's going good,
Everybody
they like to
hates
focus
Toronto.
on the good, right? They like to focus on the good. So and so is on a point streak, and this guy's doing this in the last. How everything's a stat, right? It's all analytics now.
right.
But then when they're on like a 3-game losing streak, what's wrong? What should the Leafs do now? Just like it's like this never ending. Like everybody should know that this is what you need to do to win, and this is what you shouldn't do, and you're gonna lose.
Right.
You know?
The whole thing is
Like, how long can we analyze all this
right.
for?
I don't know. I just felt like the ESPN doesn't share the same level of emotion that you get from some home announcers. It's interesting to hear Toronto fans take on the media and then other Canadians take on it.
Hey, ask Montreal, bro.
Right. And but I was talking to like some Jets fans and some people up in Vancouver, and their opinion is like all that's talked about on the media is Toronto, and like they are
True.
thought of as an afterthought.
Oh my God.
That's why I said that Toronto's the Dallas Cowboys. And
Right.
fucking
Yeah.
Well, check your phone. We just got an Amber Alert.
Did we? I didn't.
Oh my God. We are looking for Austin Matthews' second round playoff appearance. 0 for 9. 0 for 9.
Tell Robbie your Hyman joke.
I can't remember it. What was it?
The Hyman joke?
No.
You don't?
No.
I called you out on that.
What
I
was
knew
it?
you didn't make it up.
I did make it up.
You said, what's going on with Hyman? He's only good for the first period.
That's pretty good.
That's not my joke.
Yes.
Robbie.
Yes.
That's his.
I remember that now.
That is pretty good.
Now I'm calling you out because you didn't remember it.
Now listen, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is it just me that thinks that Kachucks only pick on guys that won't fight back?
Yes, I was hearing you talk about that earlier on your channel, and
Yeah.
I do agree. I think the Kachucks are a bunch of assholes. Like I don't,
Yeah,
I didn't. It was
absolutely.
hard for me to root for them on Team USA.
They're the Woody Woodpeckers of the NHL.
Oh, they're like the shitty Sean Avery. They're like the Walmart,
their dad was the
great
same
value
way,
Sean
right?
Avery's.
So
Their dad was great. If you took both of them and divided them or multiplied them by like 15, they'd be
Right.
like half of their dad.
Right.
Let me ask you
that's
this,
their
Robbie.
personality, though, you know?
Is that not a measure of success, though?
Oh yeah. No,
Right?
I mean,
Yeah.
for sure. I think having the longevity. I've never liked their play or how they act, or they seem kind of like bitches. You know, like they just they try to start fights.
Yeah,
and-
but doesn't every team have like that guy?
Oh yeah, I mean, you guys know about Tom Wilson, right? You know,
Who?
he's my favorite player. You know, or one of them.
I would love it if he was a Leaf. Are you
Right?
kidding me?
We don't have those guys.
If that
We
guy
don't
was
have
a
any.
Leaf, if
Yeah.
that guy was on a Leafs right now,
Oh, I think it'd be a difference maker.
oh
on the Leafs
my
right now.
God.
I mean,
Because
in
he's
some
got
of the games-
skill too, right?
For
And
some
he's
of the games,
big.
he was our best player. Not only just for the physicality.
This year he's
just-
had like a record year, no?
Yeah, most
Yeah.
goals, most points, and
Yeah.
like, but in game 3, he was like selling out. Or no, it was game 2, sold out in every way. I mean, yeah, he got an empty net goal, but that was like the least consequential thing. I mean, he made like 4 diving saves himself, and just great back checks, and just he's such a great all around player. I hate it when people are like, oh, he's just a goon.
He's like no, he's like Gronk.
right.
He's the
yeah.
Gronk of the NHL.
Right, he's kind of reminds me a little bit of like Marchand, where he's like one of those people that
Oh
you
yeah, but
hate
he's like
because
a
pass,
foot taller.
but like he's strong on the puck and difficult to deal with, and I'm sure he's our next captain when Ovechkin retires. Like, and there's little doubt because he's developed and grown as a player every year, and I think that a lot of the bullshit that he was known for, like dirty hits and stuff when he was younger, you don't see that much from him anymore.
But you don't think one of the older players like what's it, Carlson, like he won't be the captain?
Well, I mean,
or...
honestly, in 2 years, Wilson
I might have
will
his
be one
name
of the
wrong,
younger
but
players, like
no, true.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, and I think John.
That would be weird, honestly. Overall, like in the NHL, like that would be weird to have Wilson as your captain because he's got like
a reputation.
A rep. But,
But that's
I
like
think he's done a good job of trying. I mean, he'll always have that reputation. That's going to carry with him, but he barely even fights anymore. I mean, he still gets under people.
Well, nobody
things,
fights
but
anymore.
That's true. But I'm just saying, like, he was known as just a guy who would just take people's heads off, elbows.
Oh, yeah.
And stuff like that. And you just.
Well, he'd lose his shit.
Yeah, I'm happy he doesn't. He still loses his shit sometimes, but he's
Do you
less
think?
physical with it, you know.
Do you
So
think, Robbie, if he became captain, like he couldn't do any of that stuff anymore? He couldn't, you
Oh,
know
look
what I
at
mean?
Brady.
Like be make take those shots
Look
every
at Brady Kachuk.
here and there,
that's
I've,
true.
I've
or does
never
he
seen that.
have to? Does he have to like, you know, maybe somebody else has to come in and do that now?
Yeah, no, I think that, and I think that other people have sort of grown into that role, and so that's why he's not been the only person for the team to do it. Jacob Chikrin is a big physical defensive player as well, and they've got some other big guys that can.
Yeah, he's
Throw
been
the
there.
person.
Well, how long's he been there, Chikrin?
Chikrin was just traded last year, actually, in the
Was
offseason.
it last year? Yeah.
Yeah,
Been
so
around for a while. I recognize that name.
yeah, because he played for Ottawa, I believe, right? I think he was. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, maybe.
Shit.
Let me see where we traded him from.
I want to see the.
Yeah,
I want to see
Ottawa,
the Thunder do well.
Ottawa
Sorry.
Senators. Because he was he's a much better player than a lot of people gave him credit for. Because he was stuck for so long on the Coyotes and then to the Senators, and so you get buried on these teams. But he was one of our best players this series, and it just sucks because I feel like we were the better team, but we lost one of our defensive players. We were talking about this earlier during the hockey segment, but losing one of your top three defenders, especially one of your penalty killers, and Martin Favre, it's huge because it makes other people have to work on the penalty kill. It tires them out. You have to spread these minutes to these other players.
So why did they do that?
Well,
Why did they get rid of him?
no, they didn't get rid of him. He got injured.
Oh, injured.
One
My
game
bad.
before
Sorry.
the playoffs, and so it just sucks because in a situation where Carolina and Washington were dead even all season long, right? They played 2-2 in their series. They each won 2 games, and they both won their 2 at home. And so in a series where game 1 was very close, but we were outshot, but I think if we could have had a defender that could have moved the puck better, we wouldn't have had 90 shot attempts against us.
I love how you say we.
Right. Oh yeah. And
we could have done this. We could have done that.
it's all over. Right. And then this last game, we got so unlucky. We forced it to 3-2. Ovechkin scores a goal late in the third. It looks like they're bringing it on. All the momentum's going our way, and one of our players' stick gets stuck in the sideboards, which I've never
really?
in 25 years ever seen that happen. I don't even know how that's a thing.
Like where the Zamboni comes out?
No, it looked like it was just a random place in the wall that just got stuck on. I don't even
see
understand
that highlight.
it.
No shit.
And they went the other way and scored, and it went from a 3-2 game to a 4-2 game, and then they got an empty netter to make it look worse. But a game of inches, it just frustrates me because Carolina, in all their credit, they are the best home team in the playoffs over the last 6 years. People don't remember that.
No, I know they're a good team, man. They've always been good.
Yeah.
Under the radar, good, right?
Yeah. They've won a playoff series every year.
Let me ask you this, Robbie. Would you agree that the Washington Carolina series has been the least exciting?
Yeah. Well, I think depends on what you're looking for in a hockey game. I think hockey.
Well, I least watched.
Oh, that might be. I think that's because it's 2 not huge markets. I know that the Caps won in 2018, and the Canes have been good in the playoffs.
It's good hockey, man. If you're a hockey fan, that's good. Everything's been just.
All the Carolina people are golfing.
It's got everything, right?
Well, it's
every series pretty much does have everything, but that's been a really, really good series that's been overlooked, I suppose.
Right. I honestly think that they're gonna, whoever comes out of it, probably Carolina, is going to be a tough out for anybody because their defense and goaltending, I think, is the best of any of the teams still around. And so, Toronto has a high-powered offense and a decent goalie, but I think if you're just going to look at straight-up goaltending matchups, it's going to be hard for anybody to beat Anderson, which is so weird because I remember Anderson playing for you guys for a long time.
Freddie Anderson.
And
Fragile Freddie. That's what they used to call him.
Yeah. Right. But he has looked so good in these playoffs. Yeah. I mean,
that guy's been playing for over 10 years now, man.
Hold on. You know what it is, though?
No.
And the same thing with fucking Stolars
Mm-hmm.
is the team plays different in front of Stolars than they do Wall. And it's the same thing Freddie Anderson. When Freddie Anderson played in Toronto, they didn't have as strong of the defense. They had Dion Phaneuf, didn't they?
Right.
Dion Phaneuf.
Say
Dion
that.
Phaneuf. Dion Phaneuf.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah.
No. It happens with the Capitals. I feel like we have a goalie who so we have LT who you know so we have two good goalies, right? And one of them we nicknamed the Outlaw, and he stole
I didn't
some
know that.
games for us last year, and that's how we made the playoffs. We ended up getting swept because he kind of dragged us to the playoffs, but we had injuries and we just weren't ready to play a Rangers team that was really good and had probably the biggest fall off ever from one season to a
Yes, that's a side note right there. Yeah.
And it's crazy.
Without
the
barely
Rangers,
making changes.
yeah, Rangers, Pittsburgh, and Boston all don't make it this year, which has never happened in the history of the league.
Really?
And so that's wild into itself. But so this guy gets us into it. We thought that we had Kemper. We'd taken him from the Avalanche after they won the cup, and we thought this is gonna be our guy. And then we got the Outlaw to be our backup, right? And then he kind of took over, and so we traded Kemper for Pierre-Luc Dubois as a straight up trade with the Kings because he was sucking for the Kings, and
He's been sucking since he got drafted. What are you talking
It
about?
was the bedazzled jerseys.
Didn't matter if he was in Winnipeg or fucking
Bedazzled
Rangers
jerseys.
or wherever.
He's actually played fairly well as a defensive center for us. I'll be honest. Like, he's done well in that position. You know, he's not going to score a lot of goals for you, but
He found a good role.
right.
there. Yeah.
And particularly with the Capitals, he seemed
And
very
he's
happy
mean.
with that. Yeah. And so, but again, I think Logan Thompson, they played very different in front of him. Than you see. I don't know. It happens with goalies. You see that, where the team plays differently in front of them, and I don't know. I don't think that the Caps should do a goalie change in any circumstance because you have a guy who has top 2 save percentage and top 2 goals against in the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
He's not the reason we're losing.
And he's left-handed.
Right. But it's a lack of goal scoring. And this always happens to the Capitals in the playoffs, with the exception of 2018, that our secondary scoring that we have in the regular season just dries up. And it's just, I don't know if goalies get in their heads.
It's weird, though. I mean, like, you see it on every team, right?
I saw
like,
something.
There's they're saying in Toronto, because we're here, Matthews, who, you know what I mean? Like, he's like not putting the puck in the net, but he's still getting the points. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so
Yeah.
like who's to say, like, there's more in the game than it is just scoring points sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like completely just like being there,
Drawing attention.
and like smothering guys or whatever, you know what I mean? Like
It
they're
becomes
like
such a
long are the days of Wayne Gretzky in the
Right.
playoffs, right?
Yeah.
And who like remember John Druce, right? John Druce
Yeah.
for the Capitals that one year. It was like, who the fuck is this guy? And he's like leading all the playoff scoring and everything. You know what I mean?
But you need weird players, role players to step up and be beyond them. Like, I think of, when the Capitals had their run, and so many people stepped up that were just unexpected, right, in that run. And
I think that's how a lot of free agency works.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or not free agency, but trade deadline stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, man, we got this. We need this, like, down here. Like the big free agency things kind of work out, like Rantanen's working out with Dallas, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? But there's always like, where are we now? Like, we're in the last 8 teams, right? So,
Right.
like, who's the lower end? who's the lower end person or guy in the NHL right now that's kind of like doing that?
Yeah.
What team is he on?
Right.
I don't know.
Right. But so Devontae Smith-Pelly is the example I like to think of, for the Capitals. He had 7 goals in the regular season.
Hamilton boy.
And 7 playoff goals.
Yeah.
2018 run, right? I mean, that's just wild to me.
No, where is he now?
He's a Hamilton
Where did
boy.
he go? Where did this poor fella go?
He retired.
Dude, he grew up like 2 streets over.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. It's
and then he played for the Bulldogs.
Right. And then you have like a Lars Eller who like was total shit for Montreal, right? And came to the Capitals and got or was it Montreal or was it Chicago? Either way.
Sounds like a Montreal name.
Yeah. He scored that game-winning goal in 2018. It wasn't Ovechkin that scored the goal that won it all for us, right? It was, So it's just you need some of those players, or Kuzi scoring the goal and doing the bird to Pittsburgh and finally getting that monkey off our shoulder because we've lost like 9 out of 10 series to them.
Yeah.
Right? So it's these other players that have got to step up, and but I'm excited. A lot of DC.
Do you think you guys can come back?
I don't know.
No, clearly you don't know.
No idea.
Carolina,
I don't know.
Who knows?
Faster than us. I definitely.
You'll change your mind.
Yeah.
If they win tomorrow, right?
Well, they're playing Thursday. They have
Thursday. Really?
It's helpful for us because we have so many old guys on our team. So I'm kind of happy with the extra game. But our extra day before the game, I really think that the next game, the Capitals are going to come out on fire in front of their home crowd and not want to lose there. So I really.
Oh no, they have to win.
Right.
Like they have to win.
But
they have to win the next 3 games.
Also, not a great road team. Right. So like that's why I think
Washington or Carolina.
I think Carolina is not a good road team, and Washington's a good home team, and Carolina is amazing. It's flipped, right? Although Washington is a better road team than Carolina is. They haven't showed it in the series, but just over the course of the season, they have been. They were the number 1 road team in the East.
They got a better chance of beating Carolina than any of the other teams.
What do you think of the next 3 Leaf games against Florida?
Right. I think the Leafs win at home. I think that series is going 7 for sure. And then it's kind of a toss up. I kind of think my gut
money. It's about money.
I think I'm a Leaf fan, but I think Florida wins the next 2.
Oh, you do? I think Florida wins in 7. I think they win that last one in Toronto just to have maximum heartbreak. Because that seems
barring any like major injury, like to like the goalie for Florida. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Bobrovsky's hard to beat.
Yeah. I don't think
you're off the case,
Bobrovsky. I'm a Leaf fan, man. I would love for him to win, but I just don't. It's just like
I think honestly,
Florida has just got too much. Like by 2 players, you know what I mean? By 2 players, they've got him.
Well, I think adding Marchand
goalie and a fucking 1 forward.
I think Marchand in a Game 7 overtime wins it for them. I think it's
no, hold on, RobbieG.
So bad.
I'll tell you right now, RobbieG. If you have the chance with no repercussions, and you have the chance to punch fucking Marchand in the face,
I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And give him a drop kick to the balls, probably, right? So
but he'd punch you back. You know that, right?
No, he wouldn't. He's a fucking pussy.
Oh,
he would not punch you back. He would hide behind the ref,
probably
like a Kachuk.
I hope I'm there that one day when you fucking run into him in a bar and you say that to him, and then I have to pick you up off the floor.
Right? He'd probably lick.
He's a hockey player, man. He doesn't give a shit.
Remember him licking people? That's just so wild to me.
Yeah, that was nuts.
He's not there. He's not.
So were there any repercussions from that?
No,
Were there any repercussions from him
I made
licking
the
his
one
nose?
game. I don't know.
I don't think there was there?
Maybe a fine. I don't know.
He's not allowed to register a firearm in Canada. That's what it is. He's not allowed to
I
register a
just
firearm.
can't believe that he's still against the Leafs and Boston didn't even make the playoffs this year. I'm like, it's just like it's. So
I know it was like
Oh,
set
yeah,
up. It's like a setup. Total setup.
Bettman is the Vince McMahon. Bettman is the Vince McMahon of the NHL.
On trade day,
Yeah.
that was the biggest news.
Okay, hold on.
And it was like at the end of the day. And they're like, I can't believe I'm reporting this. Brad Marchand has been traded from Boston to the Florida Panthers.
I just can't believe they would trade in the division like that. Like, I don't know. It just seems like a crazy decision by Boston. But
no, he directed that for sure.
Why did Boston finish last all of a sudden though? Like did they do the tank? Did they do the deliberate tank?
let's
they
get rid of
finished
Brad
last in the
Marchand.
East. They finished last in the Atlantic.
weird,
Sorry.
I feel like
They
tanking
finished last in the
really-
Atlantic, right?
I don't think tanking helps in the NHL that much. I don't
No,
know.
because the Islanders just got the number 1 pick
Right.
at 13.
Right. Exactly. Well, I mean, I know all about that because look at the Wizards. They like actively tanked this year,
Yeah.
and then
Well,
they
that's
got
basketball, yeah.
Yeah, and they got the 6th spot. So I'm like, ugh, like that was.
Well, they're trying to deter that. The leagues are trying to be like, guys,
But that's
you
so
have to
fucking
compete.
rigged, though.
You have to try,
Ugh.
right? You have to try at
But
least.
we were talking about this in the NBA segment earlier, but like, how odd is it that both Dallas teams, the women's and the men's, both won the draft lottery, and they won it right after the Luka trade when they had such a little chance of winning this thing, and they suddenly get another big, tall, white guy to be this.
I've been saying this all fucking night. I've been making this sign. I've been doing this.
What does that mean?
It's like the Leafs when they won round 1. They couldn't
what
win.
does
They
this
couldn't
mean?
sweep the money.
It's not like the Leafs. What's this mean?
No, money. It's all about money. The Leafs are not going to go to Ottawa and sweep it in 4. They're going to come back and they're going to make some money. And they're going to go to Ottawa.
No,
They're
there's
gonna make
no
some
way
money.
that happens because, like,
I honestly,
hey,
I kind of
you-
agree with KR.
you remember-
I think both these
but-
series could go 7. I
but
think.
do you think everybody's in cahoots to do this?
No,
you know
no.
that
No,
the owner of the Dallas
referee-
Mavericks is like one of the
are you
most
telling
richest people
Are
in the
you
world.
telling your players not to compete?
Well, that part of the tanking, yes, I do
Right.
think that could be deliberate. Although it's weird because the Wizards had a chance to get the worst record in the NBA, and they hit a game-winning shot in the last game. And I'm like, they can't even fucking tank right. And
Did you see the Raptors? The Raptors got 14.
Well, no, that's the way. Like because that's to compete. Fuck that. We're not finishing last.
But it's
I'm gonna
weird.
fucking
but-
drain this, right? So
Okay, I'm gonna
you
show
know, there's like personal pride.
I'm going to show this graphic real quick because I showed it during the NBA one. It's very weird. In 2011, Chris Paul was traded to LA from New Orleans. The next year, New Orleans gets the number 1 pick, right?
Yeah.
Anthony Davis traded to LA in 2019. The next year, New Orleans gets the number 1 pick again. And then in 2025, Luka gets traded for Anthony Davis. And shockingly, the Mavs get the number 1 pick when their odds are 2%.
So
money.
There's no way, Robbie, that you're the only one that notices this.
Right, no, that was from the internet. I just read that.
Well, don't,
You know,
don't
like-
dig on Robbie. I respect
I'm just
Robbie.
saying,
that
like,
Robbie would find
so-
that shit though.
So is
Robbie
this
would find that
is
information.
this just accepted then
Right, I don't.
as a way to
don't
do
know.
things?
It's weird, and I don't. It sucks because it's like, man. Well, I kind of like that it's anti-tanking, but then it's like sucks for Wizards fans that we suffered through a season where like that was the highlight was we're tanking, and then don't get shit for it, and now we're
Yeah.
like
What did you get?
got 6th. Which is
Sixth.
almost the worst pick you could get when you're the second worst team.
Not like 7th? That's not worse than 6th?
Well, no, I think you automatically, if you're in the bottom 5, get a top 8 pick.
Oh.
I feel
Do
like
you know-
that's how it works. Like, so it's like almost like like couldn't have been much worse.
Do you know what I got?
We had a 10% chance to get the number 1 pick, and the team who had 1.5% chance.
So you're saying that if that guy didn't hit that shot, they would have got the number 1 pick. And who was the number 1 pick?
No. They would have just gotten more ping pong balls, but it wasn't. So it doesn't even. They could have still been
bingo balls. Yeah.
Right. But I just I don't understand bingo balls. That's so easy to fucking rig.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? Who sees? I know that they see the machine and it goes through, but it's there's no way. That's such an easy system to rig, in my opinion.
Well, it doesn't work like so.
CGI.
So the higher the odds, the more balls are in there, right?
Right.
No, there
And the
wasn't
lower
a
the
ton of
odds.
fucking balls in there, though.
Oh, I didn't see that.
There
part.
wasn't a ton.
There was
I don't know if Robbie can pull it up, but there was not a ton of balls.
Oh.
There was not.
Right.
I remember looking at it. I'm like, "What's this?" There's fucking 15 balls in there.
The
How many are in the
system is
fucking
rigged.
lottery?
Everything is rigged.
I think it is.
It's wrestling.
Hockey being rigged. How could it be rigged? Because they're so fluky with.
I think it's not rigged. I think it's influenced.
Right, influence.
Right.
And here's
Yeah.
how: it's the officials.
Yeah.
Right, their ability to swallow whistles in the third period or call.
But do you think they're conditioned that good that they can completely make a
can have
decision right then and there and say, I'm not calling that
Earpieces.
I should call it
I feel
that?
like they've got earpieces in.
Can I interject? Can I interject for a second here?
Of course.
Yeah.
Wes McCauley.
Yeah. He's like the Fernandez guy or whatever it was. Angel Fernandez, right?
12.
From the MLB.
1-12 when he's refereeing in a postseason game. 1-12.
Yeah. It's
we played the game. We got 4 fucking penalties in the first 7, maybe 9 minutes of the first period. 2 of them penalties.
I hate to go. I
penalties.
don't like to go down that road.
2 of them were penalties. We shot it out.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one was definitely a holding or hooking. I can't remember. But the other 2 were super fucking questionable.
Right. Well, the thing is how they call the game in the first period differs so greatly from how they call it in the third period. And it's just
and what time of the period too, right? Less than 5
So,
minutes. And
let's talk about Domi getting fucking fined and other buddy.
He didn't get knocked out. He didn't get a game suspension though.
He didn't, but
he's going to play tomorrow.
What about the other guy it was far worse than what he did, and he got nothing.
How many times has this happened in the playoffs so far? Just a dozen times.
I hate referees.
In every series, something has happened.
The hockey calls are so subjective. Is it a hook or you hold
it's egos? It's
egos.
egos.
I mean? You could call that either way. Is it interference or is it? You know what I mean? Or is interference the other way?
Did it affect the rest of the play? You know what I mean?
It's just.
But it's an ego thing. If you listen to listen to mic'd up referees in hockey, they're like, oh, I know what you're all about. Get the fuck back over there. You get in the fucking box. Get the fuck over there.
I agree.
Yeah,
with
I
you.
fucking know about you.
I agree with you. There's some personal stuff.
They
goes
know.
on.
They know
on
each
them
other.
And there's witty banter about them. They're like, I'm not going to call that this time. He's like, well, do I get a free shot on him? He's like, sure, but I'll turn it around right now.
Yeah.
You hear that shit all the time. And it's like. If that's what we're actually getting on the mic, on the few mic'd up times, imagine how bad it is beyond that, right?
Absolutely.
Sure. Right. But they hockey as a culture, they
golf with each other.
They've worked
in the off season.
They've worked on one thing with the fighting. They don't like it anymore, right?
Which sucks because I love the fighting.
I know, and the fans do too, but they don't like that people like it. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of barbaric now, you know what I mean? It's and then
I think that's how they used to answer the bell when back in the day when there was a call that was missed or wrong.
No, of course, but that's exactly my point, because they don't want that on the refs, right? So if the ref missed a call, and then you're going to retaliate, right? You know what I mean? They don't want that. They don't want that to undermine the ref.
But
you know what I mean?
at the same
honestly
time,
saved them from like worse injuries. I feel like in times where it lets it build up too much, and then you get these cross checks in the back and in the body, and honestly, that stuff is way worse than
Edmonton.
But my point is, it's like I don't think they realize that they can't. Like, there's no winning, right?
Well,
So
look,
if you just let the refs go, all right, guys, police yourselves, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna get like, remember the olden days, olden times?
well, look at Edmonton.
Fucking whack each other over the head with a stick, right?
Well, the other
hey,
day,
don't do that. That's what they say. You can't do that. No penalty or anything.
Last night with Evander Kane.
Mm-hmm. He ran over the guy
After the goal was in, but like he didn't do it. Like, if you look at the video, he didn't do it on purpose. He tried to avoid him, and then 3 guys jumped him. Now this is where I'm like, you know what? 1 guy, 2, 2. When a 3rd guy is in there, one of those guys should get a fucking penalty.
Yeah,
because they could fucking ruin that guy. Honestly, 3 guys on 1. Let's be honest.
I am with you though, Robbie, because I think there's like a couple of good scraps, and then the game goes on.
Right, it diffuses some of that tension.
Yeah. Instead of these like
especially in 7-game series,
cheap shots
that are like continuing past the game, right? And I don't know. It's a weird thing because I understand, and I like hockey for the hockey too. But there's something about I don't know, but I also like MMA and wrestling, right? So I'm not a great example of a person who would be like, "Oh, the carnage," right? It's. I always laugh because I was joking about the carnage because there's a funny time where the Caps were playing the Rangers in the playoffs, and Tom Wilson flips Panarin over, and like they go crazy. They're like, "He's killing our guy."
Yeah.
And they actually released a statement about the carnage that was inflicted about it, which is such a pussy move by an NHL team to like actually release a statement about
like an apology or
no, like calling out Tom Wilson. Like for being like too aggressive. I'm like, you sound like such a pussy organization doing that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just like fight him in the next game if you need to, but like you have Rumpy. Like, I don't know, like, but don't.
Well, the whole thing is like us as a voice has no bearing on what happens in the NHL. Like, like when the ones that voice for like, oh yeah, let them police themselves. It doesn't like people don't want it. I want to bring my kids to the game. And like, I remember going to a game when I was a kid, and I was like, there was a fight and I was losing my shit. I was like, that's the best part. God, look at this. And it was a goalie. You know who it was? Like, dude, I'm dating myself, but it was like the Rangers and the Leafs in Maple Leaf Gardens. And you know who the goalie was? John Davidson.
Oh, wow.
Right? So, and he got into a fight.
Ron Hextall
with a Leaf behind the net, man, and it was like I was like, this is amazing.
Arturs Urbe.
Right. So it's funny that you say that. I actually once had a run-in with an enforcer for the Capitals after a loss in the playoffs where do you remember Chris Simon?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's passed away, hasn't he? Recently.
Recently, yeah. And so it was after a loss in the first round in 1998. The Caps ended up going to the Cup that year. And
that was against Detroit.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I
got swept.
Great seats. For the first round series, and it was right behind the bench. Right, so there's a little opening right there, so you can high five everybody as they're coming.
Did it stink?
What?
Did it smell like hockey?
I don't really remember. I was probably 14 at the time, but I was sort of like just amazed at how large these guys were, right?
Yeah.
And so I actually reached over and patted Chris Simon on the back and said, "You'll get him next time." And he growled at me.
Did he? He told you to fuck off?
I mean, he saw that I was like a 14-year-old kid, and I think that he thought better of it. But but like, he growled.
But he's like, Who are you to tell me? You know, you'll get him next time, Chris.
So, and they
He
did
was a mean bastard, eh? That guy.
right.
He was a mean hockey player.
They won the next game in Buffalo, and
Because of
went
you?
to yeah, exactly, because me. And they went on and won the next 2 rounds as well. That was a weird year because all the top seeds all went out in the first round in the East, and so there was a more clear path for the Capitals, and they actually had home ice advantage the whole rest of the way out of that, and they were a surprising 4 seed coming into it. No one expected much of them, and with Kolzig and
They did kind of steamroll through that, yeah.
right, and then they got to play Detroit, and my dad took me to Game 4 of the Stanley Cup final, and I actually got to see Detroit raise the cup in our barn, which was both the greatest and worst moment, because you're like, oh man, and then you're thinking to yourself, oh, we made it this far, we're gonna get right back there, right? And it took us 20 years to get back to the cup, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
no shit. Yeah, well, you got there.
Yeah, we got there.
Us Leaf fans are still waiting for the appearance.
Right.
Never mind the cup.
Right.
Just show up.
But it was so cool to see Scotty Bowman and all those guys, go around with the cup, and just one of the coolest.
Dude, that was like, remember the players on those teams? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, Yzerman and all of those guys were.
Yeah, Lindstrom.
Yeah, exactly.
Was it Zetterberg?
Yeah, Zetterberg.
Fedorov.
Yep. And that was so stacked. And there's a reason why they swept 2 Stanley Cups in a row, and that's never happened, right?
No, I know. So, I remember the Jersey one when they swept Jersey.
It was Philly and Washington were the 2 back to back.
No, not Philly. It was Jersey.
No, it was Philly.
You sure?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure?
Oh shit.
100%.
Detroit
beat Philly in the finals.
I thought it was Jersey.
No.
2000 no.
It was 97 and 98, I believe. Or is it 98, 99?
Sure there's no Jersey in there?
No. Let's see. Red Wings Cups wins. Here we go.
Maybe it was
It was 1997, so it was the year before. So they won against, here we go, Red Wings Cup. And yes, so they.
What I just thought of?
Yep. It was.
Games tomorrow. There's going to be a game on Friday.
Yeah.
We won't start at 10 anyways.
Yeah, Philadelphia.
Sorry.
Yeah, Philadelphia.
It's Philly?
Yep. In 1997. So they swept the previous year, and then sweeping the Caps was 8 in a row in the Cup. It's wild, right? That may never happen again as a feat. So
well, guess who beat Gretzky's goal scoring record?
Right.
They always thought that would never happen.
Right, didn't you? I always thought it wouldn't happen. Even Ovechkin didn't think it was going to happen. Because
no, you know when I thought it was possible when he got 800.
Yeah.
Right. And
Even
I'm like,
then,
oh my god, like this guy, but he doesn't look
still
like
100 away almost at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know. Yeah. But I was like, if he plays for a couple more years.
But he thought he was only going to score 20 goals a year. If they asked Ovechkin, how many goals do you think you're going to score? And he thought, and they said, I thought I was going to score 20 this season.
And then,
he scored 42.
You know what's amazing though? He fucking broke his leg at the beginning of this year.
Yeah. And he was on pace. If he hadn't broken his leg, he would have topped 50 this season.
Yeah, he probably would have got over 900.
Right. He might have gotten the number 1 goal scorer in the league this year, which is wild. Like at almost 40 years old.
It was weird. I saw him the game the other day. So kind of, he was off to the side.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, in his office. I like to say.
And he got a one-timer and he smacked it in the fucking net. I was like, I've never seen him score from there before.
Oh. Is that a joke?
Right.
It's the first time I've ever seen that. We should.
It's just so funny that the goalies always know that it's coming. The defense sets up for it. They all know that it's happening, and no one can stop it. And it's but
they're always rotating, right? So,
but the thing is Like
Yeah, but he
everyone
goes,
assumes that's how he's going to get all the goals. He's only got about
this.
200,
Yeah.
200 of the almost 900 goals from there. He's really
Only 200. Okay.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, in percentage wise, it's not as much as people would think. People talk about him as like, oh, he must have scored 700 goals from that spot, right? And
It's like Brett Hall and Stamkos, right? Like,
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
thing.
they scored
Only
You know.
Steph Curry, only 70% of his points have been from 3 points.
Right.
If you can believe that.
Right. So, but it's a cool thing. I was happy he's gotten 5 playoff goals because the next record he's going for is the combined playoff and regular season.
What's that number?
Goal title. It's at 1. Let's see what it is.
Scuba.
Um,
Scuba duck.
Like extra goals?
Yeah, so playoff and regular season combined goal total. Yeah, so Wayne Gretzky has 1,016 combined, and Ovechkin has only 973. So,
Goals.
Yeah, goals.
Oh, okay.
So that's the next.
Yeah. Jeez. See, the joke in Canada was like, "Hey, way to go, Alex." Only 1,200 and something more assists to go for the most points.
But so it's
He's
funny
like,
though that
I wasn't even a goal scorer. I was an assist
No,
guy.
that was just
Right.
Canadians being like, "You fucker."
Right.
Nobody
But he
thought
has
you'd
more
do this.
assists
Nobody
than
thought anybody
Ovechkin.
would do this.
I mean, Gretzky has more assists than Ovechkin has total points.
Yes.
So, I mean,
yeah.
that's just
He has
wild.
more assists than he
I
has.
know.
Anybody has more points.
Nobody
in the
will ever
NHL.
beat his assist. No,
Right.
no one will ever,
That's his
ever,
fault.
ever beat his assist.
It barely gets talked about.
Right.
Like,
It's-
why?
You know.
It's crazy though, because like,
LeBron flops though. LeBron, the
Oh,
number of flops is topping. It's
Oh,
gonna
it's
get
more than
close to.
Gretzky.
It's gonna get more than
Uh,
Gretzky assists for sure.
It sucks because I kind of like the Lakers, and I find myself rooting against them because of how much I hate LeBron. So like, it's
I fucking hate.
yeah,
I hope he retires.
Why did LeBron have to be LeBron?
right.
You know what I mean? Like, I think he tried to like.
Well, he went to the NBA from high school.
But he tried to like be more of a Michael Jordan.
But
You know what I mean?
his
Because Michael
last
Jordan is not humble. Like you know what I
3 years
mean?
of his
Like,
high school, though. 3 years of his high school, he was on ESPN for two of his last years of high school.
Well, I hate how ESPN just overcovers him. Like just any.
Wow,
what
they
sandwich
like
is LeBron eating?
they like to go down that road, right? They like to go down that road.
Yeah.
Find a phenom, and
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But
Get-
I don't-
get
I don't-
ratings
Jordan
for
was
it.
talked about a lot, but I don't feel like to this extent. You know,
Jordan.
To-
No.
What?
Like they didn't find like what's his sandwich he's eating. this
Jordan,
week, or,
Jordan,
you know?
Jordan's not like a Kobe or a LeBron, because Kobe and LeBron came out of high school, right?
Right.
They didn't go to college.
Right. Well,
They
and
went
Jordan-
right to the
Jordan
draft
hit a game winner
and then got trapped at first.
in college.
Jordan went to fucking
UNC.
North Carolina,
Yep.
you know, and
after
did
being
his
cut
thing.
from his high school
and he
basketball
wasn't
team.
even like anything that special down there, you know.
Yeah, but they saw
Well, that's
they
why
saw
people
the raw
joke that
talent though.
he wasn't.
No,
anything with
he showed them. They didn't see it. He showed them.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? A lot of people didn't see Jordan's fucking abilities to
no,
change the game,
100%.
basically, right?
What's weird?
That's
though, is,
usually
like,
what happens.
Without Scotty, though, he does. Who knows if he even wins at all?
Well, you could. That's an
Mm.
argument. Like obviously.
Never won one
You know what I
without
mean?
him.
Who's gonna like Gretzky's nobody without Curry? You know what I mean? Or Messier or something. You know what I mean? Like, Brett Hall is nobody without
Well,
Oates.
just like Ovechkin would have been nothing without Nicholas Backstrom, right? You know.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah. Like there's always the supportive players
And Penn
in the game.
Penn would be nowhere without Teller.
But somebody has to take up that helm. They have to take it, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be.
They have to. Like somebody has to, and like either society's going to put them up there, or they're going to put them up there themselves.
Yeah,
You know
well,
what I
we're
mean?
coming close to the end of an interesting era because you have LeBron and Ovi, right, and Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, who's
Curry,
coming along?
right?
Bedard. I don't think Bedard's coming along.
No,
You
Bedard
know?
is He's
I
a
don't.
fucking Pop-Tart.
He's
a Pop-Tart.
You know what? You know what? He's going to be just as good as Cole Caulfield.
You under or overcook
Good player,
him. He's
good player, but
shit.
he's not. He's one of those number one picks. I don't think that's really going to like make that much of an impact in the NHL.
I don't think
for the rest of his career.
Do you think McDavid, and people like that, or
David is like, oh my god, like what the fuck?
But Bedard though, I don't think he's been the same since Perry fucked his mom.
No, neither is she.
No, I heard she found a chalet in Edmonton.
Yeah. So
what a distraction.
You're not putting this on YouTube, are you, Robbie?
Oh, wait, we're live streaming on YouTube right now.
Okay, cool. Hi, YouTube.
Yes.
Hi, Joe Rogan.
Live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Kick, Twitch, all of it right now. So
nice. Well, hello, viewers.
Right, exactly. So
my name is Steve Irwin. Oh, look at this fucking crocodile.
He's dead.
It'll be interesting to see where it goes. I
spoiler alert.
I think to go back to your question of what do you think the Capitals are going to do? I think that they're going to win Game 5. I think Game 6 will be interesting, but I think that they have a good chance of winning Game 6 even in Carolina, and then Carolina breaking our hearts in Game 7 because Ovechkin has the most Game 7 losses of any current player in the NHL.
That's what you wish to get to Game 7.
Yeah. I think that's, you know what, Robbie, you're suffering from the McDonald's syndrome where you see a Big Mac on TV and you're like, I'm going to go get a Big Mac, and you get it. You're like, fuck, this looks nothing like it was on TV.
Right. Exactly. But I mean, Ovechkin has lost so many Game 7s.
What?
I can't even explain to you like how many it's been. It's just, I think he has like the current Ovechkin Game 7 loss total.
Can I just quickly dispose what's going on here? So I've been watching Sport Scores Bot be like, Denver Nuggets are up by 8. Denver Nuggets are up by 7. Denver Nuggets are up by 9.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, it's like Oklahoma City defeat Denver Nuggets 112 to 105. So they came back from 9 plus 7. So a 15, they outscored them 16 points in the fourth quarter.
Seems like it.
Yeah. Yep. It's and it's big.
What round is that?
Tied. So it's the second round, and it's they take a 3-2 lead here now with.
Isn't OCT like they're like
OKC
favored?
Yeah, they're the number 1 seed.
Yeah, but it's OCT on the thing. Oklahoma City Thunder. What are they OKC if they're Oklahoma City Thunder? Why isn't it OCT?
Because it's okay for Oklahoma and then C.
City. Oh, okay.
OKC.
So they're the Oklahoma
City Thunder.
From OKC?
From OKC, Oklahoma City.
So here's the stats for Game 7s in Ovechkin's career. So the Capitals overall have played 17 Game 7s in their franchise, 12 of them with Ovechkin, and he has only won 4 of those 12, suffering 8 losses.
What a fucking loser.
Exactly.
Who are the
What a
goalies?
loser.
Who are the goalies?
Yeah. Well, I mean, a wide variety. He's a 20.
I'm kidding, by the way.
Yeah. No. I mean, this is why I'm so happy that they won the one, right? Because I just didn't want him to become the Charles Barkley of the NHL, where
Well, yeah, they didn't want the the first place winners.
Was terrible,
curse, right?
Was terrible.
They didn't win the President's Trophy, but they finished first in the
East,
Atlantic, right?
In the Metro, yeah.
Or overall in that.
Yeah. In the Eastern Conference, yeah. So it's going to be kind of wild to see here. I hope one of my people that are on this show, Tim, it's his birthday on Thursday. So I'm just hoping they at least extend the season on his birthday. And just if you're going to lose in Carolina. I hate losing at home. Or
in overtime, right?
Yeah.
Get there, get to overtime, and then,
shit the bed.
Right, then shit the bed. That sounds about right. So
not shit the bed.
Well, you get to overtime. You got to take it. It's
anybody's game in overtime, right? So
you
like,
got to
it's
turn it
always
up
like
to 11.
we always see it's like that fucking weird bounce that just finds the net or something.
I just don't think
Like what happened in Florida on Friday night. Marchand throws it at the net, it bounces off somebody and goes in. Well,
that's a Marchand goal, though.
Well, no, it's just a goal. It doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter who it is. It's just like one of those things, right?
It's in the playoffs. It's kind of a shot volume thing, right? Like if you just put
the more you put the puck to the net, the more chances you're gonna get. It's gonna go in.
But two times the Leafs beat Ottawa with less shots on net.
Yeah, that's true, and that's what's such an interesting matchup between.
Yeah, but in overtime,
Washington is the best shooting percentage team in the league, and Carolina is the highest shot volume team in the league. But what's and in this case, shot volume is winning because in game one they put 90 shots towards the net. 30 of them actually got that far, but like at that point, it's just like, and we only lost 2-1 in overtime, so we actually played pretty well. But that's such a crazy.
Well, you beat the averages there, but
yeah,
but no, that's the whole point, isn't it? Don't they always say that in the interviews? Well, you just got to get pucks to the net,
Right.
It's like, well, you didn't. You only got 5 shots that period. Like,
their defense is stifling. We're not getting the rebounds, and they're just getting it out of their zone quickly, and we are having so much trouble getting it out of our zone, and we're just getting hammered in there for long periods of time.
Carolina is like super pressing though, man.
Yeah.
You see, they have 3 guys inside the blue line.
Right.
When that puck goes in there, right? Even if somebody's dumping it in, there's 3 fucking Carolina guys inside the blue line.
And again, our best defensive guy
smothering. They just go,
is out. He's
Brindamore.
And then you've got somebody in John Carlson who's a defensive player, but he's 35, and it's just the wear and tear on his body is getting to him, and he's just.
Here come the excuses, hey, Robbie.
He's flat-footed. You can see it. He just doesn't have the speed to keep up with Carolina, and they're just skating right by him. But they're playing him stupidly. They're putting him up for 24 minutes a game. It's like, I understand Alexiev isn't as good a defender, but I think that's a mismatch to have 5 minutes for one guy and 23 minutes for the other. You just gotta take your chances, and even though he's a young guy.
Do you think other sports-minded people like yourself are saying the same thing? Are they going to listen? Are they going to hear that?
I don't know.
Do you think the coaches will hear that?
It's hard because, part of me thinks we should shift up the lineup. We've got this young rookie that they basically, I don't know if you've heard the story of him, but this guy was playing in the college, playoffs, lost unexpectedly. They were supposed to take it all. They played for Boston College, one of the powerhouses, and he immediately gets picked up by the Capitals because we had actually owned his rights for the last couple of years. And he scores an empty net goal the night that Ovechkin ties the record and gets to chat with, Wayne Gretzky and all this. So you've got potentially his development, right? But also you've had other players play for more of the season. So it's like, do you take that risk where there's, he could break through, but also
you could have a great game and turn the tides, and
you never know. But I think even if you lose, he's getting great playoff experience. And so the beginning of the season, the Capitals weren't even supposed to make the playoffs this year. They were picked to be 10th in the East, right?
Yeah, they weren't favored. Yeah.
Right. And so
because it was a surprise.
Yeah.
That, not to rag on the lineup, but it was like, well, these guys are, middle of the road.
They were supposed to be. This was their rebuilding year. They were supposed to get experience for some of the young guys, and the older guys would find their
new
way.
goalie, and
Maybe you find your way into the playoffs as a low-seeded team, but no one expected us to be a 1 seed. No one expected us to win a round, and so there was talk from some experts taking
us. He says us.
Right. I'm gonna keep on always there. But there's no chance for the Habs. Some people thought the Habs were gonna beat them, right? Because the Habs were on fire entering the playoffs, and so they've been kind of discounted this whole way through, right?
Bettman said no.
Right.
No, that's true. Like because they've been they were surprising all year long.
Yeah.
And it was like, look at Washington, in the first 20 games, and you're like, holy fuck, man, they've only lost like 6 games, and and you're like, oh fuck, well, we'll see. And then All-Star break or whatever, the Four Nations Cup break.
And then they didn't get a single player
and then,
from the Four Nations.
It's like,
that's
holy
crazy
fuck.
to me.
Yeah.
You understand that? Not a single player from the Capitals made the Four Nations, and they were the number 1 seeded team at the time.
Yeah.
I was like,
they're all Russian.
Because it's Washington, buddy.
They're all Russian.
Everybody hates Washington.
They're all Russian.
District of Columbia.
Right. Well, it's funny because like
it's so corrupt over there.
The goalie, though,
they put tariffs on Russian players.
But I don't know. I feel like our goalie and Tom Wilson were both players that could have been picked up by Team Canada. Like,
I don't think Tom Wilson's the guy you wanted.
No.
He would have helped you with your Kachuk problem.
Yeah.
I think we dealt with that.
No doubt about that. But
I think we didn't. That wasn't a problem at all.
I don't think Tom Wilson has earned the, like the playmaker status.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yet.
No, I know.
Maybe next year or whenever they try to do it again.
Yeah.
So maybe for sure.
So hold on. Who fought Bennett? Was it Brady? Brady fought Bennett?
Something like that.
No.
I think so.
Because Bennett plays on Florida, and so does who's the other loser, Kachuk? What's his name?
Matthew
Kachuk.
Matthew Kachuk. Matthew plays with Sam Bennett on Florida.
Yeah.
So I know they didn't fight. So it was Brady that fought.
No,
isn't that fucking weird?
No,
didn't they both fight though in that game?
Who fought the first one? Who fought the first fight?
I don't remember the order, to be honest.
It was Bennett and someone.
But I know that both Kachucks fought in that game.
Yeah, because they weren't going to score any goals. So yeah, they're going to fight.
Yeah.
And it pretty much it fucked Brady up for the playoffs.
Right.
Because he got hurt, right?
Yeah.
And he was hurt for the rest of the season going into the playoffs. Matthew Kachuk did the old fucking IRL thing, right?
Yeah.
And then they just put him on IRL and took his salary off until the beginning of the playoffs. Like Stone, like everybody knows how that works. That
like the Undertaker.
I wouldn't be. We did it with Pacioretty, right? So you know what I mean? Just take him off the roster. Take his salary off, right? He can't play. We don't know. He could come back maybe here and there, blah, blah,
playoffs,
blah.
Maybe game one.
Every team does it, and every team does it.
I was secretly hoping that we would get, either TJ Oshie or Nicholas Backstrom back by doing that, because they've both been on IR this season, but they're actually too hurt. But I feel like those are the heart and
too
soul
old.
guys you're missing.
I think penicillin will take care of that, won't it? Penicillin?
No, you can't use that in the NHL anymore.
Really? It's a banned substance?
Too effective.
Bettman doesn't like it?
It's too effective.
So it's gonna be an interesting to see how the playoffs go from here. Who do you guys have for?
I have Florida. I got Edmonton.
Mm-hmm.
That's only on a today basis because they're up 3-1.
Right.
Right. Dallas. I picked Dallas to win the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then who do we got left? Oh,
Carolina or Washington. So I guess
Carolina.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
Carolina Dallas final. That's not going to really do that good in the States, will it?
No.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll go.
What do you think? What do you think? Like an all Canadian final would have done?
Down stateside.
Yeah.
Nah.
The problem is like the NHL is thought of as like the fourth most important sport here. It's really frustrating.
No, I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I get that.
so,
It's number one up here,
Yeah,
but we only have one baseball team, one NBA team, right?
To have a whole
7
nation.
NHL teams,
right.
and what's
And-
the other one?
no-
And
no
we
NFL.
support
What's
the other ones.
You have
And,
no, like,
and
zero NFL
one PGA tour
Right.
that comes up here, right?
I'm rooting for Winnipeg, Edmonton, and Toronto.
Yeah.
And I
Nice.
think
A three-way.
I'm gonna so we reference Charles Barkley. We referenced Charles Barkley earlier. Charles Barkley said Edmonton, Toronto in the finals, and Edmonton winning.
Mm,
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with Charles Barkley on that one.
right. That would be really interesting. I don't know. I don't know if I believe in Toronto's ability to get past Carolina, even if they were.
No,
to make
I
it
agree.
Florida. I just think that.
I just got another Amber Alert for Austin Matthews.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because I've watched Steve Dangle so much, and it just I've seen the heartache, and it's just it's a
Oh, he speaks for me, man. I've been a Leaf fan
Yeah.
since I was 5 years old. You know what I mean?
yeah
And it really didn't make. I didn't really care when I was a kid. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
just Leafs are on every Saturday, and and then by the time I'm 20, it's like what the fuck's going on with this team? We're spending all this money.
I feel for you guys 'cause for the longest time the Capitals were out in the second round every single time, right? And so they would get past the first round, which is good, but they would just run into the Penguins, and every time they run into the Penguins,
Yeah.
and so it was
But it gets harder and harder every year
right.
because the teams are so good. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? From like 1 to 16 when they get in, those teams like
I'm not going to be.
it didn't work
heartbroken
out
if
for
the
them this year.
Right.
But those teams that get in, like fight to get in, you got to watch out for them, right?
Right.
You know what
I was
mean?
legitimately worried about the Habs. I thought that it was going to
Yeah.
be 2010 all over again. I went to Game 5 in Washington against the Habs in 2010, and I left, looking at Halak saying this guy's going to win the next two, and we're fucked. And it was true. Like
It's not so cut. It's not so cut and dry anymore. It
Yeah.
just isn't.
Yeah. Oh no. From
Maybe
game,
in the 80s it was kind of like,
the only thing that's a surefire thing is if it goes to Game 7, Dallas always wins. That coach is undefeated in Game
That's true.
7,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is
And they won tonight, man. So they're up 3-1 on Winnipeg.
Yeah. Oh, I feel bad because I've been rooting for the Jets, and
I don't care.
I hate all Dallas sports. You have to understand, like Dallas.
If Toronto's out and then the rest of the Canadian teams, I want to win. You know what I mean? Last year, obviously, I wanted Edmonton to win. Let's just get this over with. Let's get the McJesus
It's been
thing over with,
20
you know.
years now, right? Since Canada's won a cup.
30,
30?
A long time.
93, 25 years. No. 35 years. 32 years.
32 years.
Yeah, 32. 93 was Montreal.
Wow.
Right? Yeah.
When did the Flames
Patty Roy. Sorry?
When
Go
did
ahead.
the Flames win? Didn't they win? in the-
86.
Oh.
No, 88. Was it 88? 86 or 88?
One of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When was the Olympics
When?
in Calgary?
Oh,
It was closely related to that.
Yeah. I don't know. That's wild to me. That it's such a popular thing in Canada, and like
yeah. Well, that's why a lot of people are always like, the refs, the
Right.
fucking refs.
Money.
yeah.
I don't believe that.
Money.
No, I don't believe
I
that
don't-
because
no, I
because
think that honestly,
last year's Stanley Cup final was pretty high up.
yeah,
on
and I
viewing.
think if you had
So-
Edmonton Toronto, that would be a more interesting final than Dallas.
Oh, that would be the ultimate, right?
Carolina, right? Even
Yeah.
in the States, I think it would be more interesting.
No, that would
But-
be the ultimate.
Hold on. So look at the revenue from each individual playoff game. And I
Mhm.
bet you it's a staggering amount. And if it goes one more game,
It's TV revenue, and I get that.
both
right.
both clubs make
Yeah,
that
box
money.
office, yeah.
I don't
And
know.
as the rounds
It's
go up, the the price tags. Like that's why I'm not going to any playoff games. It's just the tickets are just so like wildly expensive at this point.
And the merch and
Are
parking
you
and
close by
drinks.
to where they play?
Oh yeah, I could take the metro to it. It would take me about 30
Oh,
minutes
nice.
on the train.
So is that kind of like us? Like to go to Toronto?
Pretty much, yeah. Maybe
40
15
minutes?
It's about 40,
Probably
45
an
minutes.
hour.
Well, we
An
would have
hour
to
on the
drive
GO
to the
train.
GO station, which
Yeah.
would be like 20 minutes, and then another 40 minutes. So yeah, about an hour.
Yeah, we're lucky because the metro line that comes out to here, it's kind of like a U. So I'm on the, if you look at it like that, I'm in between the two ends of it, and then the dead center of the U is the stadium. So like I can,
nice.
which is nice. So if there's track work either way, I can just take the opposite side, right?
Nice.
So, and it's cool that we're on the line so I don't have to change lines or anything. So.
What else is nearby there? Is like the National Stadium nearby there? Or
So Cap One does like the concerts and then the hockey and the basketball. So that's one thing. And then they used to do women's basketball, but they moved them. And so that's in Chinatown. But then
But why? Angel Reese might come to town.
Right, and when she does, they play in the big stadium sometimes, which is kind of weird.
And then you have extra bricks for the homeless.
Right. But there's a whole another section in Southeast DC that has the Nationals play down there. RFK, which was where the old Commanders or Redskins when they were called that stadium.
Wait. What are they called? Are they called the Redskins again?
What'd you call them?
Wait. Aren't they going to be called the Redskins again?
I wish. No.
They voted that down?
They made a deal with DC that they would never be called that again, and that's why DC is allowing them back in.
So they're just going to be the what?
Commanders? Yeah. I know, it's the worst.
It's just, it doesn't fucking make sense. Yeah, we're gonna command you today on the football field.
I don't want to get into the political part of that. I thought they were gonna rename, but like rename them.
I mean, the owner would like it, but the only way to make a deal with DC to allow them back in was to permanently not have that name. So.
Wow, really? So was that the people spoke up about that, or was that just the
fucking
Congress?
Yeah. I don't even think it's Congress. It's the local DC government decided that. But regardless, they've already made a deal. I don't know if you heard about this. They're knocking down the old RFK stadium and they're going to renovate that whole area and make a whole new section of DC with lots of like shopping and things like that and build a dome stadium there. So it's going to be like really nice. And so that one's that's there. There's also a thing called Audi Field, which is where our soccer team plays, and also
football.
Our other football.
Yeah,
just kidding.
Our other football. So there's the UFL. Do you know what that is?
No.
So there's another football league that used to be called the XFL.
The UFL, yeah.
No way.
So the XFL and then there's a USFL. They were both spring.
Dwayne Johnson.
And each one, right? Actually, Dwayne Johnson owned the XFL one, and there was a USFL one, and each one had a network associated with them. One had Fox, one had ESPN, and they decided to take the top 4 teams of each and merge. And so Fox and ESPN are basically floating a league that barely makes money just to have something on their TV when but we have a local team that's doing pretty well.
You can only watch so much pickleball on ESPN, right? So might as well start another fucking football league.
Yeah. So
Shaquan Daniels. Listen. So what you're saying, if I can recap everything that's happened this evening,
right.
Jaden Daniels is going to get traded, and then Washington is going to get the number 1 pick.
Yep, 100%. I love it. No, I don't want him.
That's what's going to happen.
We don't trade our future franchise quarterback, So
no. What if it's Luka Doncic?
Robbie says no.
No.
Robbie says no, buddy.
Right. No, we finally got a quarterback. Like if you look
he took you to the second round of the playoffs last year, man.
Yeah.
He's like the non-white Mark Rippon.
Yeah.
He's going to take them to promise land.
Third round, right? Wild card, original, then we got to the conference final. So only 1 game away from the Super Bowl. So it's to the eventual winners. So
true.
Yeah.
Just like Just
You
like
got
the Bills.
you got beat down by them.
Yeah, I kind of expected, but I'm like, that's another example of like a Washington team that no one expected them to do anything, and they exceeded expectations.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, like surprised all year long, and it's like, oh,
Right.
Mike, they're like 2 games above 500. Oh,
Right.
they're 3 games above
Yeah.
500. No, well, they're 2 games above 500, and then it's like they make the fucking wild card, and then who did they beat in the first round?
So in the first round they beat Tampa Bay,
Tampa. Yeah,
Mhm.
right, and in the second round they had a
Not Tom
donk,
Brady though.
no.
right, and then they had a donk in against where it donked in through against the Lions. That was an impressive.
Oh,
victory.
that was it. Yeah,
Oh
Yeah.
they
yeah.
knocked out the Lions, man,
Right,
handedly.
Right, yeah.
It wasn't even close.
No, wasn't that the one that they hit it off the uprights and in, or was that?
No, he's right.
Yeah,
He dunked it off the uprights and in.
yeah,
The reverse Chicago.
right,
Oh,
Some
was it?
people may know it.
yeah. But still, like, I mean, no one had them beating the Lions, so yeah.
No, they
I'm
were
excited because
they were the
stepped it
favorite
off.
to
Oh
get.
yeah, see? Yeah, see?
Yeah. Oh, the
DC's
Dons
right.
against the Bucks, and the boat raced the Lions.
Way to go, Rob.
See, this is why it's good to have a fact checker. And Chambers,
No, it's true.
I know.
We don't want to mislead. We don't want to mislead anybody.
Right. He's laughing because I have a shirt that I made that actually explains what happened in each one that he's currently wearing right now. But
Nice.
but anyway, to be fair, it's 12:30 and we've been doing this for 3.5 hours. So the orders of things have it just weren't on stream. Yeah, exactly.
Good
So
chat.
I think that we're gonna wrap it up here, and we're gonna find somebody to raid real quick.
Raid KR. No, I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
just jump back on. Right?
No, I'm done. I need food.
Re-raid.
All right, I have an idea. For Dane and friends, he's going on a 4-hour show. So let's go right over to him. So we're gonna do
DC. You should have jumped in when we were talking about like Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Jim the Animal Steel.
Talk about wrestling. He would have definitely stayed. All right, we have a bunch of raid calls, and but join us on there, and it's super fun to have you guys on. I'll give you guys another shout out, and definitely go check out the Damn Animals and KR Acoustic. And I still can't believe that
everybody does it
with seeing you guys in October, or what was it, October? Yeah. That was such a fun time. I had such a good time with you guys. When's your next stream, KR?
Oh, that's a great question. What day is it? Tuesday?
Tuesday. Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow.
Afternoon again? Or are you
maybe afternoon or evening.
Afternoon to late?
Yeah, I'll give you a 50-50 chance of making it.
Good luck tomorrow.
It's on Thursday, but yes, good luck to you guys.
Thursday, my bad.
You guys.
Yes. What? There's like it's only one game tomorrow.
Is probably afternoon.
Just the Leafs tomorrow.
Afternoon. I'll be on in the afternoon.
Bye
bye.